Hello, and welcome to the Being Human podcast, where we explore what it means to truly be human, physically, mentally, and spiritually. We upload an episode of this podcast every single week, so hit that subscribe button. You do not want to miss any of these episodes. On this episode of the podcast, I sat down with my good friend and MMA and BJJ celebrity, Riley Daniels. Riley Daniels, all jokes aside, is somewhat of a celebrity on the up-and-coming UK MMA and BJJ scene. He is such an active competitor. He's probably the most active competitor that I know. Riley is a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he is an experienced amateur MMA fighter at this point. He's had 4 or 5 fights, I believe, and will be fighting next weekend on BMF up in Barnsley. So if you're part of the HW1 team, or if you're just local to the area, hit Riley up for tickets. I'm sure he'll still have some left. Riley is the most active competitor I know, and I asked him why he is so active, why he competes so regularly. He gave a great answer to that and gave insight, I think, as to why people training should be looking to compete. Riley was somebody that, even when I first met him a few years ago, was quite skinny, didn't have the best body composition, and now he looks and absolutely moves like an athlete. I talked to him about that and asked him what exactly he'd done to undergo that transformation, other than just, of course, committing himself to training every day, competing regularly, etc. I'm sure that pretty much everyone watching this will already know who Riley is, so just enjoy him telling his stories and his journey through the sport so far. Presuming you do enjoy it, hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share the video as well. Support Being Human, help the community and the channel grow. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting Being Human. Should you work at HW1?
I've never gone for a job interview and never got the job. Got 100% success rate.
I thought you could say you've never been for a job interview.
No.
I don't think I've ever been for. No, that's a lie. I have been for. When I was applying
one,
to
I didn't get the job, but it was more like, do you want to do it or not? It might be a bit too much for you. And I was just like, I agree with you. But it was a bit, at the time, I'd only just qualified and I was going to be like working on a site on my own. And it was a bit like, is this going to be too much pressure? And I was like, probably. It was in Leicester as well.
Oh, that's a very wise decision to make.
And then I ended up working for him a year later.
Okay.
When I was more experienced. But
So
I think looking back, it would have been too much, I think.
That's a very wise decision, though, because most people would feel pressured to say, oh, yeah, I can do it. And they wouldn't want to look weak.
I think also the drive to Leicester every day was a bit of a put-off.
Yeah.
That's a long
So it wasn't a wise decision, you were just lazy?
It was a couple of factors. It was like the drive and that as well. You know what I mean? It was a lot. But yeah. It's 100% success rate, we'll say.
We'll see how this one goes.
We'll see.
Yeah. So let's go back to the start.
Okay.
When did you start training? Earliest memories, and why did you start training?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I sort of like, there was a background of the Conor McGregor hype that I wasn't really aware of, but I was working at McDonald's at the time when I was like 16. And a lad had him on his phone, like a screensaver. And I remember him like briefly showing me, he was like, oh, this guy is a cage fighter. I'm like, oh, I didn't really think anything of it. And then like a year or so later, I ended up like doing just weight training with my mate at a gym. And they started putting on MMA class. They had a basement and they was going to put on like boxing, MMA, and they had a little room for bikes and stuff. And it was just like a proper old school weights gym upstairs. And I was just like, and I did boxing as a kid anyway. And I was just like, I wanted something
So that's
more.
what I was going to ask. When you said 16, I was like, I'm sure I heard someone.
Yeah,
so you say you'd boxed.
So I never
13,
fought or
14.
anything like that. But Liam always wanted to do it. Liam's, you know, Liam, like he's always doing all sorts. He's been traveling. He's been in, you know, my brother, obviously, Liam. He's been in the not the regulars, the part-time army.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been in the military as well.
I forget what you call it. The
reserves.
Reserves. He was in the reserves and he went to Cyprus. Then he's been in Australia, Asia. He lives in London now. He does jiu-jitsu. He's had boxing fights. He's had a title.
He intervenes when there's racial hate crimes.
He does. Yeah. He's like a vigilante as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was his idea to get into boxing. when we was kids, and he had like Fight Night round 4 or Fight Night round 3 or something like that. And I think that's what sparked it. It made him want to box. And I loved Rocky, so I was just like, I'll go with you, sort of thing, if he wanted to do it. And it was a bit like, if he's doing it, I can't not do it, because we would always like fight each other. If it wasn't like Power Ranger costumes, Spider-Man costumes, or Star Wars lightsabers, like we were fighting in some sort of way always. And 9 times out of 10 as kids, he would get the better of me. So now we're older, I've leveled the playing field a little bit, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was his idea to get into boxing, and it was a bit like, I didn't really want to be there a lot of the time. I just went because he was doing it, and I remember just like dragging myself there a lot. And then I had a bit of a freak accident at school where I dislocated my hip, and I didn't do it for like 6 months. I came back and I was a fat little podgy 14-year-old boy, 15-year-old boy, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. It was embarrassing, and I should have stayed, obviously. Like looking back now, it would have been better for me to have stayed and got healthier.
But the easy option was to say,
like,
I'm 14, I want to be having fun.
Yeah, and I just sacked it off and just didn't do it. And then I got to like 18, 19, and these MMA classes came about. I was like, I'll give that a try. So I like signed up to it. And the first session came along was like a kickboxing session. So I didn't know who Dean was at the time either, Dean Truman, Ilkeston, you know, bit of an Ilkeston legend. Cage Warriors world champion. Not at that point yet. He was just a pro MMA fighter. But I was.
You didn't
no idea who he was. Never knew him. No. I come to find out we don't know some mutual people, and like, but no clue who he was. And anyway, it was a basement, so I was walking down the stairs. Tom loves this story as well, because I was walking down the stairs and I see Dean, and he had his like beard and his slick back hair and that, and he was teaching like a kickboxing class. And I was a bit like, oh. As I was coming, I was late as well. I was like 10, 15 minutes late. I got the time wrong. Shock. And I was walking down, and like got that halfway downstairs. I saw all these guys like kicking pads and stuff, and then I saw Dean. I was like, oh, this looks a bit rough, you know what I mean? And I turned away. I started walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll come next time when I'm on time, you know what I mean? I don't want to come in late and then be like, you know, be that guy. Everyone looks at you when you walk in. And Dean like went, you all right, mate? Are you here for the kickboxing? And like stopped me. And I was like, fuck, I've got to go down now. And he's seen me. Like, do I just run or do I go down? And I went down, and he was dead welcoming, and he gave me some. I might have had gloves, I can't remember. You know, got me set up, and then that was it. I started going there like as many as he did. It was like two times a week, maybe on like on a Tuesday and a Friday or something like that. It was like 1 hour a week. He'd show a bit of jiu-jitsu, like whatever really. There was no mad structure to it. He'd show like some kickboxing, a bit of boxing. We'd spar kickboxing. We'd do a bit of rolling. I remember he shown like an arming guillotine, and he shown like a dart, gable turnover dart. So I remember that, because that was like the first move I hit at Knots MMA when I ended up moving there. But yeah, we did that for like maybe 6 months, something like that, like once or twice a week. And he was fighting Corin Eaton, so he was training for that. So he like basically said, look lads, I'm going to have to focus on myself. This is taking too much time out of my own thing. So we're stopping it, and I'm going to be training at Knots MMA and with Jimmy when they was at Skillens doing the squad sessions there. And I was just like, where do you train? Like I was hooked at that point. I was like, I can't lose this, you know what I mean? And
this was about 6 months.
About 6 months, maybe a year. I don't know how long he did it. It was maybe a year, something like that, once, twice a week. So I found out about Knots MMA, and it was funny when I was looking at the timetable. I was like, Noggy? What's Noggy? Didn't know what a gi was. Yeah, I was like, I remember asking Dean, and he went, Nogi. I was like, yeah, that's what I said. But I went the first time, and in my head as well, I was just like, well, I've done a bit of boxing as a kid. I did all right when I was kickboxing now. I will do MMA, like that's the next thing I'll do. And I still hadn't really watched a great deal of UFC at this point either, or I'd watched Dean's fights and stuff, and that's when I started to hear about Conor McGregor. And it was funny because I'd turn up early to that class pretty much every time, and I'd like do like a Conor McGregor hook kick on the bag. I can't really do it very well, but it's funny.
I used to do the exact same thing when I was
just like you'd see Conor and you're like, you want to do that shit. Yeah. And it was just
side
like,
kicks,
mate, I couldn't even throw a jab or a low kick or anything like properly, and I was trying to do like a spinning hook kick and stuff like this just because Conor did it. And that's when my infatuation started with him. So that was probably maybe I don't know, 2017, 2018. So I don't even know what was happening with him around that point. I'd have to have a look whereabouts in his run he was.
That was probably getting towards the Khabib fight. The Khabib fight was 2018.
The Khabib, yeah, I remember watching the Khabib fight at Greg's, but I was training at Knox MMA at that point, and I think I started watching Conor around the time. I might have seen him a bit before that, around the time he beat Aldo. I think that's when I first sort of it's a bit sketchy. I can't remember exactly, but Conor was one of the only guys I was watching, and I was just like, this is insane. Like, I want to do this.
Proof's in the pudding, isn't it? How many people he brought
into
the
mate,
sport.
I'm one of
stayed.
many. You were very similar to me, Conor, big Conor fan.
Well, actually, yeah. Obviously, I was quite lucky that I was already into MMA. I think probably even compared to most people at the gym, I got into MMA as a fan much earlier, like when John Jones first became champion in 2011. But the fact that you, Mystery, people that are seriously embedded in MMA now, it's a massive part of your lives. You were brought in by Conor McGregor, so it just goes to show that he didn't just bring a bunch of casuals that then left. He brought people, he showed them MMA, and they've fallen in love with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I always remember someone who was on my radar before I even knew really what MMA was. I just knew it as sort of cage fighting. Was Anderson Silva. I feel like a lot of people knew the Spider was Anderson Silva, the yellow shorts, you know what I mean? Very iconic look to him. So I knew, I'd seen videos of him, I'd seen the famous front kick knockout and stuff like that. And I feel like I maybe knew about Conor around Mendes era, maybe knew about it a bit. And I remember I was telling my dad about when he beat Aldo. I remember showing him that, waking up the next day and I was like, you don't know how crazy this is, what he's done, you know what I mean? Like, this guy's not been beaten for 10 years. Anyway, was training at that gym down there, and then I moved to Nottingham MMA. And again, when I walked into Nottingham MMA, like, it's a really friendly place. Like, it's not... But when you don't know, it's daunting walking into an MMA gym. Like, I can't imagine what it's like for a woman or like a young boy or someone like that. Like, I was like 19 at this point. I was walking in, I was really nervous. Like, I think Paul was one of the first person I seen. Paul and Jim. I thought, you don't know Jim Tomlinson. He's one of Paul's good mates. He's a BJJ black belt. Don't really train anymore. He's a bit older, but he's got bad back and stuff like that. And you know, his job's more important than training, so he just does his weights and that. But I thought he ran the place, the way he was calling the shots and stuff. And he was a really funny character, and he just ripped me to shreds. Started ripping me for buying the Knox MMA gear. You got to train 6 months before you buy any of this and stuff like that.
Is that where you got this?
Definitely.
Character?
I like to be the gym.
Yeah,
in the gym
because that sounds exactly
because he's
like
not there anymore to do
say.
it, and he's like I'll get onto Jim in a bit, but I remember the first class I did. I was like, I'll do the jiu-jitsu, then I'll do the MMA class, and it was in the jiu-jitsu where 99% of people say who do jiu-jitsu, they think, I'll do a bit of this grappling and then whatever, and I got absolutely handled by everybody. And at the time, I didn't realise they were all beginners anyway. Shane, the first time I ever rolled with Shane. This is the most Shane thing as well.
Shane was already there, right?
Shane was already there. He was quite a decent blue belt at the time, starting to find his flow a bit. And this is my first day, right? I'd had a couple of rounds with other people. A lad called Hussey, who was he left to go to the army. I think probably Greg, who I started training with in Ilkeston. And I saw Shane, and he had his ponytail at this point. And exactly the point.
He had a ponytail.
He had he had a top knot, McGregor-ish top knot.
Did he?
Yeah,
I've never seen a photo.
I'll find one for you. And I went up to him, and I knew he was quite good, so I was like, "Oh, do you wanna roll?" And he just went, "Just so you know, I've got the best guard in the gym." That's what he said.
It's like the most Shane thing to say.
And I was like, okay, I don't know what God is, but okay. And I think he stood me with a suicide baseball bat, a triangle, and an arm bar. And he mercilessly just battered me for the 5 minutes. And then he showed me how to defend each one, a little bit, show me a little bit. So, And after that, I remember we clashed a lot, and we didn't really like each other. I was like, that guy's a dick. And he thought the same about me. And then I think it was me wanting to compete, and just I was training hard, and I really like the idea, because I went there with the idea is I'm going to pursue MMA, like with following Dean. Like I want to do what he does.
Did you already think at that point, I want to compete, I want to fight?
Yeah, straight away from the jump, I was just like, I want to do this. You know what I mean? This is awesome. Watching Connor and then knowing Dean, I was like, yeah, this is, and seeing Dean come from where I come from, like this. Pretty much exactly the same background, same town, you know what I mean? It's like, it can be done, you know what I mean? He's doing it, I should do it. So I walked into the gym, I was like, yeah, I'll start doing that. My idea was to go to the MMA class, but the jiu-jitsu was on there first. So I was like, I'd do that. Got badly humbled. Did the MMA class anyway, but I was just like, I need to do this jiu-jitsu. I was like, the rest can wait. I was like, I need to learn this ground stuff. This is crazy. Like, well, people can just do this to me and I can't stop them. And I just fell in love with it, like, completely. And I started, like, within like 3 months in, 2 months in, I already booked my first competition. And I think that's what Shane saw. He was just like, oh, this guy, because now, like, loads of people compete, but at the time, like, there wasn't loads. It was few and far between. You had like Jordan Summers, Paul would do bits, and then when Shane came along, like, we didn't have like a big comp team. Macaulay, a few of them.
Well, talking about the outbreak of MMA in like the past 10 years since McGregor, the outbreak of jiu-jitsu has been even more recent. Yeah. It's only really been in the past few years.
I think it's like the sport being elevated, and also when Paul first took on Knox MMA, he was a brown belt, and he'd not been a black belt long when I got there. And just as the gym's grown over the past 5, 6, 7 years as well, like as a team, like Macaulay was like a 14, 15-year-old blue belt when I'm there, and like he's a very, very dangerous 21-year-old brown belt now, you know what I mean, or 20-year-old, whatever he is, like absolute savage. Mate, he's been ramming his knee in my belly since I was like, since he was like 15, little soft-faced kid, just been handling me since.
Mac Curtis?
Macaulay Curtis, yeah, we got a steam a lot last night. On Grapple Fest. Shout out to him. So I was like, I need to learn the grappling. And then, I was hooked from there. And then me and Shane became really close, and we still are to this day, like, really good pals. And that's sort of like, but at first we didn't like each other, and now, we're really close. But yeah, don't really know where I'm going with it. But that's the start of where the journey,
listening to the story.
The journey sort of started, and then me and Shane was just doing comps like it felt like every weekend we were doing it, like white and blue belt. And mate, I was going there, most of them were losing them all. Like,
well, that's what I have this written down actually. So yeah, let's take it from the first. Let's have a checkpoint at the first comp. How did that go? What was that like?
So first comp, it was a gear comp, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I just remember being like 17-0 down for pretty much the entire match against like late 30-year-old. Like, and
did you accidentally enter the masters class?
No. He was. I remember him being a bit older. He might have been borderline. He might have been 30. I don't know. And then I took his back at the very end, so I lost like 17-4. That seems to be like the story of my jiu-jitsu career. Just getting it towards the end, like I'm a slow starter. But yeah, and then I had a match against the teammate Greg Henshaw. He doesn't train anymore, but at the time he trained with Dean for quite a while, and he got his blue belt at Knots and that, and big strong guy. Like, he was good. He did kickboxing as a kid. Like, a bit of a waste of talent, I think he could have, if he wanted it, he could have done well. Like, he had a decent background as a kid doing kickboxing and taekwondo and stuff, and he'd trained with Dean for quite a while. Decent wrestle on him, good jiu-jitsu, and just, he was more bothered about business and personal life, which is absolutely fine. But I think he definitely could have been a good fighter if he wanted to be. And I had a match with him because it was in the same bracket, and he got me in some horrible choke, like an Ezekiel or something, like horrible, like really quickly. like took me down and just choked me. And that was my first competition experience. I loved it as well. I loved it, and I just made me wanted to do it again. I can't remember what the next one was. I think it was a.
Was there any nerves like at the first
I don't remember at that point. I think it.
So how old were you?
Probably 19.
19.
Yeah.
So that's a fairly. I suppose I'm only comparing it to me. When I first competed jiu-jitsu, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Like 23.
Was you nervous?
No, I thought I was going to be. But you were there with me. Jack was there. Pez was there. I waited for the nerves to hit, and they never did.
Yeah, I think when you don't know what's going to happen, This is interesting because I was talking about this with Matt last night.
I've been way more nervous for subsequent comps, by the way. It's not like I don't get nervous.
Yeah.
I'm more nervous now.
This is the thing. Like, when you don't know, what have you got to fear? Like, you don't really know what's
There's
going to
not really
happen.
a pressure of winning in your first comp.
Like, and it was the same for my debut in MMA. I was like, I kept saying to Jimmy, like, I'm not nervous. Like, this is weird. Like, I'm waiting for the butterflies or something, and it never came. And I said to Matt, because Matt had like a Class B MMA fight like 10 years ago. And he was a bit nervous yesterday. He rang me saying, I've been overthinking it all day, man. I was like, look, I'm going to get to yours. We're going to chill. I said, go on a run. Go on a little run. I says, I've taken it upon myself to do this. My most recent fights, George and Harry Hardwick, one of them two, I heard them say, like, the morning of the fight, have a little shakeout, open up the lungs, get some fresh air. George St. Pierre is also a similar thing. He goes shopping.
John Jones has it too.
Just go around normal people, normal life. And I just go run around the block 5-10 minutes, just open my lungs. Just literally as soon as I start sweating, I head home. You know what I mean? Just open everything up a little bit. Think about what you're going to do later on, which clearly had a little bit as well. And I was like, go do that. And he was like, yeah, I will. It's a good idea. And he was a bit nervous, but for the fight 10 years ago, I said, how did you feel about that? And he was just like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, it's funny that, innit? I was like, I was more nervous for my second fight than I was for my first fight because I knew what I was getting into at that point. And I think that was the same for jiu-jitsu. I can't remember being nervous. And then subsequently after that, I don't think there's been many jiu-jitsu comps I've done where I haven't been nervous. A handful, I haven't been nervous. But I usually do worse when I'm not nervous for jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like I'm not awake. Like, I haven't got that energy, like, that you can sort of harness. You can harness them nerves a little bit, I feel like. Yeah. Channel it a little bit into...
It's just energy.
It is, yeah. And it's just like, again, Connor saying stuff like, recognize that feeling. And like, this is interesting, and use it. Don't ignore it. Don't push it down. Don't you recognize it and like use it. I use it as a power almost. Like, oh, I'm feeling this. This is like the adrenaline I need. It's going to give me that extra push, that bit of power, or whatever it may be. Like, however you internalize it, you know what I mean? It's everyone has their own little way. Everything does things. Everyone does things differently, don't they? So, yeah, I can't remember being nervous for my first one. No. That was the long-winded answer to that question.
First comp.
Yeah.
No nerves, really.
No nerves, really, no. Just happy to be there.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, happy.
Just happy to be. There's a photo on my Instagram, I think, of me and Greg, like, just smiling. I got like a default bronze or something. I was just happy to be there.
Oh, well, I bet you were dead happy with it.
Yeah, I was just happy. I was just happy to be. I was like, gutted I lost and that, and I was just like, but it's like, yeah, I got loads of, like, it made me realise that I had no jiu-jitsu. Like, I just had like, what is it, like, tenacity, you know what I mean? I just wanted to I always used to say to Shane, like, I'm shit, like, I'm not good enough to really roll with you, but I would just bring energy and hope that helps me out, you know what I mean? And
keen as mustard.
You throw shit at a wall enough, eventually it will stick, won't it? So I was just like constantly going after Shane again and again and again, and just learning loads of lessons that way. And the comp was like, I couldn't get outside control, so let's address that. I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. And that's what sort of made me think, you need to do this, you need to pressure test regularly. And that's something I've done from white belt to now. Like, I don't go a few months really without competing if I'm not injured or broke and I can't afford them, or the opportunities don't arise. I like to constantly pressure test and see where I'm making the mistakes. And I think from like my first comp to my third comp, I was like getting close to getting submissions. I was doing well. And then what was the first one I won? It was like an empire. It was like, I think I lost my first one, like in the gi. I think that the nerves, that was the nerves. I remember walking on the mat and I totally froze. Like, and it was, the guy was a weight class below and they merged it. He grabbed hold of my gi. I just froze. He literally just pulled me into a triangle and subbed me. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was so annoyed. I was like, why didn't you wake up? What's going on? And Empire used to give you a consolation match. You used to get one regardless, win or lose. You get two. And then my next one, I was just like, I went for this guy and I was trying to, I think I suicide baseball batted him, because that's what Shane always used to do to me. And that's something I've taken for us. I steal everything Shane does to me. I do it to other people. And I think I suicide baseball bat choked him. I swept him from bottom side control and finished him on top. So I was buzzing with that. Then I had another match. And I think I lost. I think I won the first one this time and then lost the second one, something like that. And again, it was from top this time. I was like like baseball bat choking him. And then I nearly put him out, but I didn't realize until I watched the video back. I was choking him for ages and he was just like surviving and my arms were burning. And I let go and he turned to give me his back and I rear naked choked him. He tapped immediately. And I looked back at the video and when I let go of the baseball chuck, he was going, he was like that. He was like, I think he was like pretty much out because as soon as I put the rear naked choke in, he tapped straight away. I think he like came to in the rear naked choke. Yeah, and that was like my first wins as a white belt in jiu-jitsu. And then my first medal was like an all-stars gi medal, I think. I got a couple of subs or a couple of I scraped it to the final. I scraped it to the final, just winning by like a couple of points, and then I got like a weird bow and arrow thing. Don't even know what it was. Fucking some bullshit. Just grabbed his gi and pulled it really hard, and that was my first medal. And then like a month later, I got my blue belt. So yeah, and then pretty sporadic results since then.
Yeah, that's another question I had written down, and you've already answered it really. But what I had written down was you're probably the most active competitor that I know.
Other than Spunky.
Yes.
Jack Henshaw.
Yes.
He is a very active, he competes jiu-jitsu, he fights like fuck. Like,
yeah, no, he does.
Me and him.
But you still compete more, just because you compete more jits.
Yeah.
Because obviously you compete, anyone that competes MMA and jits, they obviously compete more jits than MMA.
Yeah.
Because you can
do it more.
Yeah, you can do it more. Yeah, I was going to ask you why you compete so much. You already answered that, really.
Yeah, and I just enjoy it. Like, I love it. I love it. I'd love to do more gi as well, but like, it's not conducive to what I do. And also it's annoying because like, I can't put the time in to hang with these guys at my belt. And I don't want to get disheartened by that because it's just like that's not what you got to put that to the side for now. Because,
well, you say that, but you did win a gold in the gi.
Yeah, against a good guy as well, Reece James, really good gi guy. Like I've got to say, like I was Joe Bagetti's had a match with him in no gi before, and one of the Smash Bros, Joe Little, Reece James, sound lads from Northeast Jiu Jitsu, really good guys. Obviously Joe beat me, and I think Joe and Reece have beat Max and Sam.
You, Max, and Sam.
Yeah, and then who else? Someone else has had a match with Joe Bagetti's beat Reece, and I was like, okay, so all these guys I know, and like Max is
trying to work out the Max.
Yeah, Max is a hard role for me, and I was just like, fucking, if he's taking out Max and Sam's an issue, like this is going to be hard. You know what I mean? And like Joe, like as good as Joe is, he's very flexible, and I think that played a big part in why he beat Reece, because Reece went to pass his guard and Joe just inverted, took his back and choked him. Like, and I remember him saying like, "What the fuck? This guy's like so flexible." So I was like, "This is going to be a tough fucking match." And Joe was like, "You'll smash him." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And then I grinded out 2 wins against him. He was up both times, and I managed to pull it back and beat him. But I was speaking about this to Max over there. I think he does fight a bit. I think he should go down a weight class, maybe, Reece. I think he'd be a bit more successful. I don't know. It's because Joe maybe competes a bit lower. They don't want to be in the same bracket, which I get. But he like weighed in.
Which is funny because Joe's so tall, he looks way
bigger.
Yeah.
I think it's because like he weighed like 71 the other day, and I'm sure he was competing at like 76, something like that. And what we did it at was 73.5, and I think maybe he could go a bit lower because he's definitely a bit undersized for the weight class, but he still has like really good results. So I think he'd be a big problem if he maybe got his weight down a bit. I don't know. Maybe it's something I need to talk to him about and see what he says and why he does that weight class. But he's like fully clothed at 71. And I was thinking, fucking hell, like you're giving up some weight there. Yeah, guys like him, I was just a bit like, I was surprised that I beat him in the gi. It was nice. I'm going to finish on top. First gold of the year in the gi. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
And I'll just do no gi and MMA for the rest of the year, finish on top.
So you're training at Knots MMA, you're competing a lot from the get-go.
Yep.
At what point, when did you first meet Jimmy?
Okay, Jimmy. That's another one, a funny one. So I knew sort of like of him a little bit through Dino and Paul, who knew him, and I'd seen bits about him and Dan, and that's when I started getting into Dan and watching all Dan's fights and watching Jimmy's fights, and I had UFC Fight Pass, so there's loads of Cage Warriors UFC. I was watching them all. I was like, these guys are fucking sick. Like, I was like, I need to train with these guys. And Dan was in the UFC at this point, like not fighting but working, so he wasn't really about like training with Jimmy, or he wasn't around. And I think Jimmy was coaching at Skillens and doing his PTs and stuff like that before he got his own place. And I went there once with Dean when he was training for a fight. I want to say it was maybe Lewis Monarch or Aidan Lee. It was around that point. And we went Skillens and for a cardio. So Jimmy had just been wrapping up a PT. I'd been doing, so I've been doing jiu-jitsu maybe just under a year, something like that. About under a year, I think. And I've been doing jiu-jitsu about a year. And I was like, yeah, I'll come and do cardio with you and do an ice bath. That was the idea. We're going to that Loughborough cryo spa and we was going to do an ice bath. So I got there, Jimmy was teaching a PT, and the night before as well, I'd watched a bunch of his fights as well. So I was already a bit like, oh shit, this is Jimmy Warley, you know what I mean? And I don't think he really said a lot to me. He was speaking to Dean and that. I was just sort of just hanging around. I was watching him teach.
So Dean had taken you under his wing at this point?
Yeah. Dean had kindly saw that I had an interest in it, and took me under his wing. We'd drive to it, we'd take turns driving to the gym and stuff like that. Being in the same town, it just more cost effective, and he was more partnering with Greg and stuff when Greg was training, because he was more, and then when Tom came along, it was Tom, and then it was me. But I wasn't good enough.
Oh God, sorry. Let me not interject, but you also got to tell me when you first met the Goose.
The Goose, yeah.
Was that before Jimmy?
No. Okay. No, I knew Jimmy at that point. Yeah, so we'll get on to the Goose. Yeah, so Dina took me under his wing and he was like, I'm going to do this ice bath. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll drive. And that's what I had my Fabio at this point. I remember I picked him up one morning. I think I took the day off work. It was like a Thursday or something. In the daytime, we went to this gym, like, you know where Nando's is?
In Loughborough.
In Loughborough. Yeah. There's like a fake Nando's. It's got like on the sign, I think it's like green writing, and one of the signs have been replaced where it's like an off colour. I can't remember what the place is called, but it's like
where you and Perry went.
No. I'll have to show you. But there's a gym. There was a gym opposite it, and I think it was me, James Dixon, who I didn't know at that point either. Dino, Marcus, me, and I want to say Keith Beef Boston. And Dino, and there was two estate. I was with James Dixon, I think, on the station. And it was like you do like a ski erg. You have to run, like they set the tread. I was not an athlete at all. Like I just like training MMA. Like that's another thing I was speaking to Jimmy about recently. But anyway,
I've got that noted down. Yeah, as
well. And it was like Jimmy's been in the UFC, Dean's in Cage Warriors. Like I think James Dixon was either transitioning from amateur pro at that point, and then there's Marcus and all these guys have been training for a long time, and they was doing like a hard cardio. So I didn't know what I was walking into. Just like doing cardio, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like running or something, isn't it? It's like running on a treadmill dead fast for like 5 minutes, and ski erg as much as you can for 5 minutes, and then an air dime for as much as you can for however long, and then like 3 times through or something like that. And then Jimmy made us do abs at the end. And when I first started training, I was like quite skinny. I was like soft at first, like soft 70s, and then like I lost all the fat, and I was like skinny 67, something I'd have to like cut to get to now, like put on a lot of muscle mass. And Jim Tomlinson again, he was constantly ripping me for being skinny. And it's like, you're weak. You need to do press ups and pull ups, get on the weights. Like you're weak.
Sounds like Andrew Tate.
Yeah, and you're broke. You're poor. And yeah, I went there and we did abs to finish, and I started feeling like my abs were going to cramp. I was like, I can't give up in front of Jimmy, and my abs were cramping, and I was like, I had to roll up on my belly. He went, ab cramp. Like he was the first one who noticed. I was like, yeah. I was like embarrassed to like get cramp in front of Jimmy, And then me and Dean went to the cryo spa and he jumped in first. It was like 5 minutes, and it's one where the water spins. So like you can't catch it on your hair to like, if you sat in one of those Louis baths, it's probably a bit better because it's not
You develop
moving.
a thermal layer.
Exactly, that's it, yeah. Thermal layer. And you can't do that in these because the water like spins. It's got so many grams of, kilos of Epsom salts in it. Dino went in it and he's like, like making all these noises the whole time. I think because he said he was kicking so many people at that point, he's like quite got heavy Thai style. I think his shins and ankles were hurting a lot. And I was just like, fucking hell, like, I think he's well hard and he's making all these noises. I was like, I've got to poker face it when I get in there. So I like didn't make a noise. I did 5 minutes. I think I did 30 seconds longer than him. It was like a bit of a, yeah. What a dickhead. And that was my first encounter with Jimmy. And then I knew he was on about opening his gym. And I think Dean had his run up to the belt, won the belt, and I was still training at Nottingham MMA all this point. And then I know Jimmy was on about fighting again, and Dean had a bicep injury, so he was out for a little bit. He was supposed to fight Soren back and all this. And we had to go to, Jimmy was fighting in Bellator Newcastle. I'd never been to a Bellator before. I'd only been to a couple of Cage Warriors at that point. And I didn't know Jimmy at that point at all. Like, I'd met him that one time. I think maybe that's why he started that cardio. Maybe that had started Bellator talks at that point. Maybe he was training towards that. I don't know if he was just doing what he was doing anyway. Don't know. I don't really know where he was at in his career at that point. Then the Bellator Europe scene came along and he had a fight on there, and I was just like, Dean was like, do you want to come? I was like, yeah, I'll come, I'll get a ticket. And actually, it worked out really well. I think I paid for a ticket because I was in the stands for quite a lot on my own, and Dean got a pass, and I was just in the stands watching from the crowd. And then Dan was supposed to come, but I think Dan was ill, so he couldn't come. So I ended up with Dan Hardy's corner pass.
Oh,
not a corner pass, sorry, like backstage pass. I never went backstage, but I went in like, they had like, say like the cage is here and the backstage here, they had the walk out there, and they had like a VIP parts here where all the VIPs were. Geordie Shaw were all on this side because all the Geordie Shaw guys were there, like I don't know, like Charlotte and like,
I've never watched it in my life.
I know that Charlotte Crosby, is it something like that? I maybe got that wrong. I don't know. I fucking never watched it in my life, but yeah, them out of Geordie Shaw.
So that Aaron sort of this Charlotte Bird,
obviously. And there was that Aaron Chalmers was fighting.
I know who he is.
Yeah. So he was fighting. So all them lot was watching him. And met Leon Edwards.
Okay.
No idea who he was. So Jimmy had fought, beat the guy. I think he broke his foot. He calf kicked him a lot, and I think he hurt his foot. He was limping a little bit. And me, Jimmy, and Dean were just standing there, just waiting for Aaron to fight, watching the rest of the card. And Leon Edwards came up to Jimmy and was like, yeah, Jimmy, and he went, champ, to Dean, and then I was just stood there, so he shook my hand as well. I turned to Dean, I was like, who's that? And he went, that's Leon Edwards, he's in the UFC, you dickhead. And I was like, all right. And I just remember him being massive, like,
what, Leon?
Big lad, yeah, big lad. I also met Kane Musa that weekend as well. I was with Dean, and Kane had come up to Dean to say hello, and I had this cauliflower ear was really swollen. And Kane Musa like squeezed my collar. He was like, that's big, innit? And like squeezed it. I was like, fucking hell. I'm not going to say anything. Fucking Kane Musa, innit?
Kane Musa's the guy that does like the clothing.
Bellator fighter. He's in the PFL now, I think, light or featherweight. Like, he's got that bad R and that. I think, this is going to sound so bad. I said to Dean, I was like, what's that Bugsy Malone?
What, like Kane Musa?
And he's like, no, but he does know him. They are Manx.
Yeah.
Because they're both Manx, aren't they? And I was just like, oh, God, I can't really have said that. He's like, it's Kane Musa, you idiot. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Do you think Leon Edwards was Stormzy?
Yes.
Wow. It's a really popular show. Stormzy, Bugsy Malone.
Stormzy and Bugsy Malone. But Hoist Gracie was there as well. What? He was wandering around the hotel. Yeah, mad. It was mad. Like, because I went to the fighters' hotel. This is the funny thing. Barely knew Jimmy. Ended up going in his room before his fight with Dino.
But this is what's complete.
This is the mad thing about MMA, mate.
This is the mad thing about you, because the way I see it, God has like intervened at like every show you've ever been to. I've never seen you just sitting in the stands with the rest of us mugs.
Yeah.
You know, with the rest of us low lives. You've always been backstage. You know what I mean? We'll get onto it. Like Jimmy's last fight, you ended up walking out with him and carrying the flag.
Yeah. I forget about the belt.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you've always.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about that as well.
Yeah,
so let me not interrupt.
we'll get
You're
onto
always
that.
at the centre of it.
Yeah.
You're always
I
placed
just end
at the
up like
centre of it.
falling into it. It's just like, mate, it's just
a magical
it's just
thing.
a series of accidents. Happy accidents. Yeah, I ended up in his room before his fight, which I was just like, should I be here? Like, you don't really know me. I just like sat in his room while Dean's talking to him. And yeah, watched the fight and that. And then I remember after Joe, we went up to Dean and we went up to Joe, his missus, and with Jimmy and Dean in the crowd, and they mentioned the gym, the opening of the gym. So that was on the horizons. I think they had a place, and it was like, yeah, we're just getting Mats in soon, and this. So it was coming at that point. And I think it was actually ready for his next fight. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he did the first camp there. I don't think it was ready yet. And then for the next fight, it was ready, and that's when I started going. I was there for the opening day. I think you were there opening day?
I wasn't there on the opening day, no.
I was there the first day.
6 months later.
Like proper try-hard, shrimping down the mat, trying to impress Dan Hardy and Jimmy Warlad. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to think a shrimp's awesome, innit? You know what I mean? A little wipeout. Like, well, you idiot.
Wait, were you what? Still a white belt?
Still a white belt at this point, yeah. Oh, wait, no, I might have been blue. Might have had my blue, maybe.
You were a blue belt when I got there.
Yeah, I might have just got it. I think I just got my blue belt when the new gym was early stages of Hardy Warlord. I was early blue belt because I remember rolling with Kieran Fall. It was a white belt, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" Like, I'm a blue belt, and he's just like,
How did it go?
He didn't sub me or anything. I didn't sub him. I probably just got the better of him in the role, just. Maybe not. Maybe it was 50-50.
Yeah.
But I remember saying to Joe, I was like, he's fucking good, him. Like, what the fuck? And I'd never experienced that type of style where he was just strong where he shouldn't be strong. And the movement.
Strong but so fast.
The movement, man. He is water. He moves like water. I remember trying to, the way he shoots a double leg and he's already on the next thing before you even not in a wrestling way though, in it's hard to describe. Yeah. It's not like I go double and then I go to up to the back. It was just he don't even. He's flowing.
And he'd say it like this, not necessarily about himself, but he'd say this because that's how he thinks of things. It's like a dance.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I remember one time, Max, who was super strong, obviously, he hip bumped Kieran from close guard, and Kieran based on his for the camera, based on his hand just like that. With both their weights and just sent them back over and back into guard. I was just like, how the fuck did you just do that? The way you just push back again. But it's like doing
it's the breakdance.
It's the breakdancing, yeah. Matt Locke, very similar.
Again, yeah.
He's a bit more he's isometric.
Explosive power.
Mate, he was saying to me last night, I feel like I haven't grappled in a week. I feel like I don't know how to grapple. He went, let me just hold you in side control. Mate, he felt like a boulder. I was like, bro, what are you talking about? You're strong as fuck. In the warm-up, he felt really powerful. But yeah, tangents. But yeah, that was the Jimmy Warlord, meeting Jimmy Warlord and being around him for the first few times was Skillen's cardio and then his fight. That was the first sort of experiences with Jimmy. And then the gym opening and that was that. I started going there a couple of days a week from I might have started once a week at first because it was a bit of travel commitment, and then it was Tom Owen. We'll go on to Tom Owen.
Yeah.
So
when did you first meet the Goose?
So I noticed some guy follow me on Instagram from SBG, and I was just like, I knew what SBG was. Obviously, Conor McGregor. You know, SBG South Shields. I was just like, it's an affiliate gym. And I was just like, he's just some other MMA kid who's maybe scouting me out. I don't know for what it was, you know what I mean? I don't think I followed him back.
Too much of a celebrity?
No, I just if I don't know you, I don't necessarily, I'm not too interested, I won't follow you back. I don't know, just a bit funny. And
no, I think that's fair.
Didn't think anything of it. And then I think he did message Dean as well when he was on about coming down. So I'm going to come down and talking about training. And I think Alex Enland said to Alex Enland, the head coach at SBG South Shields, he said, you know, go train with Jimmy, go train with Dean Truman, them type of people. If you're going that way, or I think he tried out 4D at first, but I think he didn't really vibe with that. Yeah, I don't think he really liked it too much. I think he ended up going back a bit later for the squad sessions and stuff. But yeah, I came in to Knots MMA one day and he was wearing like a red SBG shirt. And he was sat, you know where like the tire is? You know where we all sit after rolling, where the bags are and that? He was sort of sat there like having a bit of stretch out. And I saw the SBG and I went up and like fist bumped him straight away. Hello, you all right? My name's Riley. That was it. We introduced each other. I think we may have even drilled that session with each other. Maybe. Or I think we did. I think I partnered up with him. Might have done. Just to see I wanted to see what was going on. You know what I mean? I was a thirsty little white belt, blue belt at that point, probably a thirsty little blue belt, just like smelling blood, you know what I mean? All fresh blood, you know what I mean?
Well, let's give him the Shane Curtis treatment.
Yeah, and I just went after him when we rolled. I think I subbed him like 3 times with like a toe hold, bro, just smacking on submissions left, right, and centre. I thought, yeah, I've smashed him, you know what I mean, sort of thing. But I didn't really understand his ethos of jiu-jitsu at that point. He was very much MMA. I'm not too bothered about fucking this and that and the other. And I was like, just going for him, you know what I mean? And then it was like after the sessions, we sort of like were exchanging ideas and techniques, and he was telling me Tom's a very like, in terms of like martial arts, he's very switched on. Like, I know he hasn't really been involved in it a lot lately. Well, he has more recently been jumping back in. He's been doing it on and off really for the past year since he sort of fell out of love with it for one reason or another. Lots, you know, a lot's gone on in his life. Like, so give him the benefit of the doubt, you know, his career focus, relationships, you know, family stuff, all that going on in the background while trying a really hard sport. So he's not been doing it too much up until recently. But at the time, like, he was watching breakdown videos all the time. He was obsessed, you know what I mean? Like Connor as well. He was obsessed with Connor, like I was, big Connor fan. And he was telling me all about striking and this and that. And him and Tyrell, I think, got on a bit and had a bit of a spar. Tyrell's like the mat enforcer for the striking. Good old 110 Tyrell.
Tyrell was already a madman at this point.
Yeah. Tyrell's always been a bit of a problem.
Madman.
Yeah. He's been sparring with pros since he was like a young kid, you know what I mean? Like Dean and that lot. But yeah, he's just, Nepalese madman, just like
yeah.
And,
different kinds, maybe.
Level, yeah.
I definitely don't have Tyrell.
I feel like you would be like, if you were both in the Nepalese army, you'd maybe be a bit more of a strategist. You know, maybe a bit higher up in the rankings, and Tyrell would be the man you send when you want a job done. Like,
there's 100 men on that hill.
It's
you
like
go and take care of it.
It's like you got
and he would.
In Troy, you've got what's his name in Troy? It's not, is it Perseus? No, it's not Perseus. That's what's his name? Achilles.
Yeah.
He goes and fights that man. He's like, Tyrell, go after him. Absolutely no respect from anyone. He'll try and take your head off.
He'll fly.
He does not give a fuck. Yeah, and I remember him showing me stuff because I did a bit of MMA, but I was doing the jiu-jitsu. Like, I wasn't really doing a great deal of MMA. I was doing a lot of jiu-jitsu. And he was telling me about distance and how to gain distance. He was showing me stuff on the wall and stuff like that. And I was just like, look, I'll help you get to the gym and back. I was like, Jimmy's opened up a gym in Culver. It's a bit of a trek away, but, you know, if you can come with me and we'll go. And that was when Jimmy first started doing the Sunday squads, because it was just like me and Jack and a bunch of others couldn't get in mornings and stuff. So he was like, we'll do it on a Sunday. And I think we'd done 1 or 2 at this point. Like, it was just like me, Jack, probably Lewis Smart, like a few of them.
I've seen Tyrell on those.
Yeah. The art, like, I can't remember who were there in the early days. Bobby, Jamie, maybe Ella, Danielle, you know, all the OGs. Adam Walker, maybe Cal as well. And some of us come and gone, you know what I mean? And I was like, we'll start going down there. And he was like, yeah, sounds good. And I took him home the first night, and he was telling me, I remember, like, you're literally just a kid. Like, I was only like 22, but even like
Yeah,
I think I'm
old
like
would Tom have
I think I'm like 4 years older than Tom.
Yeah, so he would have been 18.
He would have been just not
Yeah.
long 18. Yeah, he was 18, and I remember he was talking to some girl, and she was saying about some guy that is gonna get him if he does something. He's like, "Oh, I've got a laser right hand," and stuff like this, like for your proper like typical Geordie, like, you know, charisma, you know. And I was just like, this guy's crazy, and we had the same like music taste, as in like hip hop stuff, Eminem and Dre and stuff. We was listening to that on the way home, and that was before he showed me all this bullshit northeastern happy hardcore shit. But I like some of it now, though. He has converted me a bit. You know, you listen to it enough, you like it a little bit. And Jimmy's always got it on upstairs. And yeah, I took him back the first time. We sat in the car for ages chatting outside his house before I let him go. And then the second time we trained together, I was like, he sort of like followed me out. I didn't offer him a lift, and he like followed me out the gym. Was just chatting. I was walking to my car. I was like, I was gonna give him a lift. Like, it was like implied that I was gonna give him the lift, but I just went, "What are you doing?" And then he went, sorry. And I was like, "Nah, I'm only kidding. Get in." And he's like, "Really? You do that to me, man?" And then like I remember like I pulled out a junction, and like I didn't pull out on someone, but it was a bit close, you know what I mean? I shot out the junction. He's like, "Really, you fucking mad cunt, man." It's like, just love the you know, the Geordie accent, and just
I can't do it. I'm pretty good at accents. I can't do Tom's accent.
Just a really funny guy to be around, and yeah, that was it. It was thick as thieves since then, pretty much. And I was taking him to Jimmy's, and then, you know, that was where the sort of like everything sort of came together. And yeah, we ended up living together for a period of time, and then he moved back to Newcastle. You know, we fought. I debuted on the same card as him and all that. So it was cool to see where it started and sort of where we are now. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was the Tom Owen.
The start of the bromance.
Yeah, start of the bromance.
Had a voice break there. I would ask you when you first met me, but you're not going to be able to remember that.
Red Shorts Man.
Red Shorts Man.
For
how long did you know me as Red Shorts Man?
You know me and names.
For the pure fact you didn't.
Probably a good 3-4 months, maybe.
Yeah.
It was when you. To be fair, it's a thing with me. When you start getting good, when people start getting good and they show that they're in all the time, then I'll remember your name. Like, no disrespect, but so many people, you've seen it as well. They come and go.
Yeah.
They're in for a couple of months, and like a lot of people sell you the dream. Like, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I'm like, yeah. Just show up for a few months first. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to talk. Just work. You know what I mean? And it was nothing like that, but just like I'm shit with names, and it's like, if you're not there every day, I need to see you every day to remember your name.
I've said it before. Like, how good Jimmy is with names.
Unreal.
He knows everyone's name.
We was doing the beginner's course a couple of months ago, and he knew everyone's name on the course. And I turned to Joe and I went, "He's unreal with names." Yeah, it is me. I am shit. Like, when I was teaching the beginner's class, even now, there's a lot of guys that have been training at the gym for years. I don't know their names. I'm a piece of shit. I am. I've got a terrible memory for names.
I think Jimmy's just got a really good memory for names.
Yeah, I'm just bad. I'm so bad with names.
Joe took so long to remember my name.
No,
Joe's not the best with names. Not to call you out, Joe. Sorry.
Speaking of names, man, you piece of shit at me that time. Was it
Charlie?
Yeah.
What's his name? Was it? So the trick I play on you now, because you're so bad with names, is when I know you don't know someone's name.
Yeah, what's his name?
I'll go, "Oh, you know this guy. What's his name?"
Yeah, well,
it's either my brother or one of my friends.
The way you piece of shit at me, Pear. I just need to know Pear, innit? I'll be like,
you can remember? Oh,
I remember that.
That makes me proud. I remember my brother's name now.
I'll just call him Waglele Jr. and all that.
You could do that as well.
Yeah.
Just to finish that point though, Joe had to ask me for my name 4 times in one session.
I feel like once you told me a name, I remembered it.
Yeah.
But I would never call you Red Shorts Man to your face. Obviously, I
found that out after.
But it'd be like, "Oh, Red Shorts Man's getting good." You know what I mean? Like, Red Shorts Man gave me a hard time on the field. Red Shorts Man did this. I was like, he's getting good. Him. Like, what's his name? You know what I mean? That's when I show interest. Yeah. Like, he wants this. You know what I mean? And then it's an excuse for not remembering people's names, basically. Yeah, Chart, I want to go back on that just so Aaron piece of shit at me. We was doing Perry, shout out to Perry, doing Perry's roll-a-thon, and Max had walked in the fire exit, and he just turned up and I went, "Max!" And and I didn't say his name because I didn't know it. And you picked up on it immediately. Saw me like, you went, you don't know his name. Like, and he went, Kieran, ask Riley his name. And I was like, you piece of shit. Like,
fully outed you.
and I think I got it wrong like twice. He's like, how do you not know my name? I've trained you for like 2 years.
And as that was happening, Tom Owen crawls over to me and goes, Aaron, what is his name?
That you told him, didn't you?
Yeah,
of course you did. Of course you did. Yeah, that was funny though. I'll give you that. I'll give you credit for that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, I can't believe he's done me like that. Can't remember what we got onto, but the names. The names. What was we talking about?
We'll talk about me. Enough about me though. We don't need to hear how you.
But yeah, that was it. You were just coming to the kickboxing and the jiu-jitsu and
the first few. I started. I'm good with dates.
I feel like we bonded more at the barn.
We did. We had a couple of really good spars though before that. So I started in September 2019. From September to the end of the year, I just did like a couple of classes a week, and then I decided in the new year 2020 I'm gonna like take this seriously. Once I take this seriously, I didn't think about fighting or competing because everyone knows the story now. I was going down London soon, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, until then, I'm in love with this now. I'm gonna train as much as possible, and it must have been then like around February, March, 4 years ago. From now,
that's crazy.
Yeah. We Jimmy started pulling me into the
squad sessions,
into the on the Wednesday night, the rounds in the cage. Because I remember.
Do you remember that time Tyrell just like killed you?
He just kneed me in the chin. Yeah. If Tyrell was watching this, Tyrell, you kneed me straight in the chin when we first sparred.
Aaron, you need to move. And he was just taking body shot after body shot.
And Tyrell kneed me in the chin, and I was like, "What's just happened?" I was like, "You just kneed me in the chin." Usually, I'd just like suck up and take it, but I thought, "Bloody hell, you're not wearing knee pads." And I said to him, "You just kneed me in the chin," and he went, "Oh, I did it slow so you could see." Oh, thank you.
Tyrell's response that is.
But just not to go off on a tangent about my life story, but I remember the first time I did the rounds in the cage on a Wednesday night because I was getting my shins on in the room next to the cage, and I was just going to go back onto the mats to spar as usual. And Jimmy said, "All right, all the amateur guys that are sparring in the cage, stick around, line up. We'll sort out the rounds basically." And for some reason, I don't know why, I hesitated because I didn't know. It seemed like he said it in a way that included me in that statement. So I was like, well, "Am I supposed to stay?" I was like, "I can't stay. I'm going back. I'm going back into the normal room." I started walking, and Drew was like, "No, Aaron, you stay." I was like, "Okay." That
heart sank.
I was like, "Okay, shit's getting real."
Yeah, that was like
shit's getting real. But we had a couple of spars before lockdown started and everything got shut down. We had a couple of spars, that were really good.
No, I do remember. Yeah,
a few rounds in the cage.
I learned not to hang around in the pocket. That's what I learned. Just stay on the outside.
Yeah.
You get your feet. If you get planted, you're quite powerful. So I just dance around. Yeah, don't stay too close for too long.
I remember this wasn't the first time we sparred in the cage. It was maybe like the second or third time. I'd say we'd had a pretty, if not even like back and forth round. But then you'd got on top of me in like the last minute, got a bit of ground and pound off from mount, and I got up in like the last 10 seconds, and Jimmy was like, "Do something, Aaron, go for it." So I just like charged head down at you, and you just timed me with a lovely uppercut.
I remember when we used to spar in the little room, I'd get like most
the
of
room.
the main room, yeah, matted room. I'd win most of the round, but you'd often catch me like getting greedy. Like and that was Jimmy's like, "You need to lay off that left hook. The left hook's there all day. Aaron throw the left hook." He kept catching me with left hooks, and that was why I was like, I needed to bob out of the way. And I think that round you're talking about was like the last round I did before my debut, and that was actually good for me. I think he sort of did you a bit dirty to give me a bit of confidence. I think it was a strategic one. Like I'd done my hard rounds with some guys, and it's like, look, Aaron's like he's good enough to give me some problems, but I should.
Kind of the level of the guy you're going to be fighting.
Yes, exactly. And that was what I needed, you know what I mean? Like, he gave me enough, like, adversity but I could still win the round. You know what I mean? And I think that was a nice finish to the camp, finish to the spar. I was just like, yeah, that was good. You know what I mean? And yeah, that was it. That was where the brotherhood started. Yeah. And then down the barn, we got close at the barn.
Everyone got
small
close
group of us that was still like refused to stop. You know what I mean? We wanted to.
Just to give some context to that. I mean, I'd say we shouldn't say it, but it's a
fuck
thing.
That.
Fuck that anyway. Even if we were still in it,
goes down the world for a cold.
We all kept training over lockdown. We were able to source a shed in the middle of
Leicestershire. We can't say where or who organised it. A farmer friend of ours.
A shed in the middle of Leicestershire that we'd go to like 5 days a week.
Yeah, it was every night, wasn't it?
Pretty much every night. It started off as like 3 nights a week, then it was every night.
Sometimes it was like stop coming because there's too many cars, and there was
we had to stop coming because
portions of time
Bojo
or carpool. There was carpooling going on. Like people would leave the cars somewhere and then go there, so there's less cars on the drive.
It was very. That's something it's crazy to think back to because it was so secretive.
And shout out to Sean Betts. For, hosting a lot of them sessions and getting guys in, getting other coaches in and stuff like that. We did a capoeira class. I think
I missed that because I was preparing for my
Lance
bloody
came
exams.
down for one, took a session.
Yeah, I was there for that.
And he organised some squad sessions pretty much. He did like big shout out to Bear for that time period. He was like instrumental in keeping the team alive.
He was like a coach and father figure.
Yeah, definitely. Very a lot of respect for Bear, a lot of time for Bear, Sean Betts and Charlie and Donna. Shout out all of them. They're all lovely. Like, love them all. So that was a very interesting time to be alive.
Lots of technical improvements made, and not just me and you, all of us that were there.
That was where you got so defensively sound, I think.
Yeah, because I was in a room.
I don't think you never really got your offense off until really recently.
Past 2 years.
I wouldn't even give you credit that much. Like the past couple like year to year and a half, you've been going in there and subbing people.
Yeah,
I mean? You've made a bit of a switch up.
In terms of in comps,
and even more so recently after our roll on Monday, I was just like, there's been another switch in you. But for a long time, it was you were annoyingly defensively sound, but it's just because you had to be because
everyone else on the mat
just fed to the wolves. Tom Owen, Jack Henshaw, Joe Taylor,
Kieran,
Ella, Max, Miles Muncie.
Yeah, and as well, I broke my toe down the barn because my toe got caught in the gap in the mats. So like for 2 months, so stupid, someone as silly as a little toe, but I couldn't like press off it, so I couldn't wrestle. I couldn't wrestle up. So I was like stuck on my back for 2 months. That's all I could do was just lie on my back.
No, but I remember he was like impossible to choke. He was still really hard to this day.
No.
But yeah,
that's where it was built. I was just in a room where everyone was way better than me.
And it felt like, mate, I've got a good, like, I think most people in the country were doing something similar, whether it would be sneaking into the gym, doing it in fields, doing it in units, lockups, whatever you could find. You know what I mean? People were making it work, because if we refused to stop, I can't believe that everyone else did. You know what I mean?
Well, we didn't have it for the first lockdown, because the first lockdown, it was new. Everyone,
the second
even if
lockdown,
they didn't respect it, they tolerated it, and by the second one, everyone was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, we're not having this. Yeah, that was very much my attitude, and that was sort of the driving force to moving out as well. You know, I was a bit like, look, I want to have my freedom to do what I want without putting my mum and dad at risk. My mum's got asthma, and all these other things that I don't want to exacerbate because I've been greedy with training. So I was like, look, they had a house that they had to let. I was like, can me and Tom work? No one's been in there for years. It's just sitting there, dead money. We'll, at least we'll cover a bit of the costs. We'll get lived in, and it might make it easier to sell when we're out of it because it's a bit better. It was like, yeah, sound. And then we pretty much had free reign to do whatever we wanted to do in terms of. I competed all the way through lockdown, like Empire. I did.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's strange. So you weren't allowed to train, but they had legit competition.
So I did a match in. Well, we may as well go for a lockdown, aren't we? Really? So
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
in lockdown,
take us through it chronologically.
me and Shane were meeting in a secure location, and me and him were just doing like an hour of rounds with each other every few days. Sneaky. Me and Liam, we called it high rollers because we were in my loft and we'd get high and then we'd roll for about an hour, no break until one of us either got mad or we both got tired. And that was like no drilling, never drilled anything. We just rolled and that was it. Put some music on, J. Cole, something like that, and we just rolled in my attic. I cleared a big space and we just rolled in there. And then I was meeting Shane, doing some naughties somewhere that's not to be named. and then yeah, the barn. And then I managed to get a match. I believe this was in the second lockdown as well. I think, where did we do it? It was some shithole of a place.
Your match? I remember you had one in Brighton.
Yeah, I did one. That was a couple of weeks after the first one I did. I did one in, I can't remember what it's called now. Preston, I think it was. I was like, oh, this is rough here. Did one in Preston. Did like a cage sub only. I won that decision. Then I had one with this lad called Ollie Webb, who's now doing really well as a brown belt. That was a tough decision loss. It was a draw. Like it was one of them matches where like none of us really. Like I had my attacks, he had his attacks. It was pretty even. I think he had home favour, you know what I mean? It was in his gym.
Was that the Brighton one?
The Brighton one, yeah. They gave it him. And it was a good match though. Entertaining match, fun match. We both like left it all out there, you know what I mean? He like took me down immediately, kept pinning me down, but didn't really get anything off. I managed to get out, reverse him, take him down a bunch of times. I had a couple of leg lock entries. Sorry. He got a leg lock entry on me. I think I went for a flying armbar. I had him in like side control and mount at one point, trying to get triangle wrapped up. Jed Hewer gave me some impromptu cornering as well.
Yeah. I remember hearing this all secondhand from Kieran. Kieran went down with you.
Yeah.
And relayed it all.
Won't go too much into that, but yeah, Kieran Fall came down with me very kindly, warmed up with me and took the trip down and kept me company. And yeah, I wasn't gutted about it, you know. It was a good, entertaining match. And he's gone on to do quite big things. So it was, and we met at Blue Belts and, you know, I've gone in more MMA direction. He's gone more into professional grappling and he's doing well with that. He had a tough match with Shane. Shane beat him, but like he gave him a hard time a little bit, you know. I think Shane only beat him by points. But just shows that the level he's at now. Quite a bit bigger than me now, though. I think he's about 80. He's quite a big lad now. And yeah, so I was managed to compete. And then towards the end of that, I was just like, let's focus on MMA. You know what I mean? And shortly after the first, it was because when Tom fought, it was still like lockdown rules. Can you remember where they did like 2 shows in one day at Golden Ticket?
Yeah, so that was like, it was supposed to be, this was June 2021.
Jack fought on the first show and Tom fought on the second show.
So Golden Ticket did 2 shows in one day to make up for the fact they hadn't been able to do one for over a year.
Yeah.
That weekend was supposed to be the weekend when all the lockdown restrictions were lifted forever. And then they did another one at some point. But
just the vibe in the air of like the masks and it was a weird time.
Strange times to think back on. But they pushed back. That was, everything was supposed to be lifted that weekend. Then like a week before, they said no, they're going to be enforced for an extra 4 weeks. So then they had to still
spaced all the chairs out and
still go on with the show, but they were now under the lockdown restrictions.
Kicked everybody out and then made them queue up again.
They sold a bunch of tickets they didn't let people in for then. As we were leaving after Tom had fought, there was like a riot going on where people were trying to like cram their way in. If the promoter had got on tickets here, and this is probably not going to like me advertising it on my massive podcast.
It's not their fault. It's just one of them stupid times where they had to, you know, it's a bit.
But these people,
no one knew what was going on.
Yeah, of course. And they were rightly so trying to get in, and rightly so from the Golden Ticket side, they were saying we can't let any more people in. Then there was a riot going off. So it was a strange show, but they did an afternoon one and an evening one.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there were a bunch of people on that. You tried to get a last-minute fight on that one.
I did, yeah, because it was Josh's opponent.
Josh had to pull out.
And then I think Kieran went for it, but he didn't want to fight Kieran because Kieran had a couple of fights. So I said, I'm on weight, basically. I can make the weight. Can I do it? And Jimmy was like, I'm happy for you to do it. like, I think, you know, you should probably wait till the next one, but I think you'll beat this kid, you know what I mean? But he didn't accept it. So we did the next one along. Like three months later, pretty much. It was like, what was that? That was like March, maybe?
No, so the first one was June, and then the one where you
September,
made
October,
your debut was
4
October.
months later, and that's when Tom fought Jerome for the title eliminator. No, yes, title eliminator. And yeah, that was my debut.
Talk us through it.
Oh.
Talk us through the camp, because the camp was an eventful one.
The camp, from what I remember getting staph. I got staph in the camp. I got like 2 or 3 weeks out from it. I got staph in my arm. That was when I went with you to...
My first comp.
Your first comp.
All starting Coventry.
Yes.
We went for food in Leicester afterwards, all of us.
That's where, when we got in the car before, that I pulled up, didn't I? And Jack drove us. It was me, you, Jack. Was it Perry?
Perry, my brother.
And your brother. That was it, wasn't it? It was 5. And Jack drove us, and I was just like, we pulled up, and I was like, right, lads, just before we go in, I was like, this was obviously a joke. I was like, I'm a bit of a local celebrity, you know, I'll get mobbed as soon as I walked in, just, you know.
And I have that written down because I was going to ask you about that.
And then as soon as I walk in, about 3 people consecutively came up to me and said hello, and like 2 of which I didn't know. Like, Ellis Young was like, oh, yeah, mate. I was just a bit like, this is so funny. And Aaron was a bit
I do want to ask you about that, not to go off on a tangent. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I knew you competed. You'd done a lot of matches, so it wasn't surprising to me that people knew who you were. But the fact that you said as we were walking in, "Oh, get ready for me to be noticed by everyone,"
this was
everyone and their mother was walking up to you in this sports and saying, "Oh, you're right, mate. You're right, mate.
You're competing today."
And that's when I realised Riley Daniels is a celebrity. How have you gained this status? Because everybody knows who you are. It's like you get walking Jimmy out and
I think it's like it's part of like the red hair. Maybe that's something.
I think you remember. My perspective is you're a memorable person.
That bad breath, big ears, as Jimmy would probably say. You know, hard to forget. Something like that. That's Shane as well. You know, I'm always with Shane. When I was in Wales, when me and Matt and Shane competed in Wales, Liam's girlfriend was going to the toilet. She heard someone say, "Shane and his boys are here," like that. I was like, that's well funny. So maybe it's a bit of that as well. You know, Shane's very well known in the grappling scene. He had AJ Agazarm talking shit about him on Instagram last night. They had a bit of a back and forth.
Last night?
Yeah, so maybe that's a bit of a match to make. Him saying like, you watch my instructional, and Shane was like, "Who are you?" And a bit of a back and forth there. And he's just like, you're saying, "Shane, you've won nothing." And he's just like, "Look, come and see, big boy." You know what I mean? Shane don't say no to anyone. So that'll be an interesting one if maybe Matt Benyon can put that together. I bet Matt Benyon was looking at that, rubbing his hands together like, "Oh, it's a good match." But yeah, that was a funny one. I remember warming up with you. I think, how did you get on? Did you?
I lost like. That's not a close decision. I lost on points
something like that. Yeah. And then we went and got some lovely food afterwards. Like you went and got 5 guys or something. We got some Vietnamese.
I had two meals. Yeah. I celebrated losing by having 2 meals.
That week though, like the Monday or Tuesday, I'd had this tattoo done by Becca, great tattoo artist. I still haven't got it finished, but I was moisturising it like fuck because I thought that was what you're meant to do. You're only supposed to do it as it needs it, but I was just putting loads on.
Moisturising the staph
well, what it was is I broke out with loads of spots on my arms, and what I read was like, don't over moisturise because your pores will kick all the stuff out in spots and stuff. So it wasn't, the tattoo had healed at the point where I got the staph infection, luckily, or the ink would have got, and the scarring would have got infected. So the actual tattoo was fine. The tattoo was healed at the point where I got the staph. It was the spots that came out like subsequently. And I popped this one here and this one here. You can slightly see a little scar there. Yeah. And quite a big one there.
Yeah.
And I popped them and I had like rusty, dirty fingers at work. I remember doing it and I was like, I best go wash that. And I forgot and I didn't. And like a couple of days later, they went a bit red. And I was just like, oh, they're a bit sore. I was putting Savlon on it. I was like, oh, get away, don't worry about it. And in the morning of your comp, I remember thinking my arm's hurting a little bit, but it'll be all right. And by the evening, I felt really ill.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When we went for food, you looked miserable, and I thought, oh, Riley's just stoned.
No, I wasn't. I had nothing, and I was just felt really poorly.
Yeah, you were very subdued.
And my arm had felt like, the way my dad described his first chemotherapy was a good way of putting it. He said he felt like it blocked a baseball bat from hitting his arm where he had the IV, and that was what it felt like in my arm. Like my bone hurt, my muscle hurt, and I was just like, this is not good. You know what I mean? Like something's wrong here. And this was like 4 days probably after popping the spot. You know what I mean? So the infection's like taking hold at this point. I woke up the next morning to big pussy boils, and my arm was no, that was wrong. My arm was full of fluid. And I remember driving to the doctor, and it was like I had like a water bottle on my arm. It felt like it was like running up and down my arm with fluid, and it was swollen. I felt ill, and I was just like, fuck. So I went and they gave me flucloxacillin, I believe. And from speaking to a doctor, the fluclox is a good antibiotic, but it doesn't dissipate the pus.
It's a local.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
And the pus needs to be milked, or else it will just stay there. So he was saying to me, milk it. My doctor friend. So after about like 3 or 4 days like of the infection and like the first day of antibiotics, he's like, if you try and milk it, and literally it was big volcano at this point, 2 volcanoes, arm was swollen, and I got in the bath, and literally as soon as the hot water touched my arm, it basically burst like Mount Vesuvius out my arm, and the relief, it felt amazing. And for like maybe 4 days after that, every morning I was waking up and putting it in hot water and pushing all thick pus out, like it fill a fucking bowl, you know what I mean? It's horrible. And yeah, and then I woke up one morning and I just felt like almost drunk, like I was hot sweats, like a bit delirious, and I was just like, fuck, like I don't feel well. And I went to the doctors, and they took a swab. I was already on antibiotics at this point. They took a swab, and there was like, you might have COVID as well as this infection. Did a COVID test, no COVID showed up. And then we waited another day, and I was just like, this ain't getting better. And I went to my mum and dad's, and they will get this. This is lucky as well. I might have been a lot worse off because I just tried to tough it out a little bit. I waited until about 11 o'clock in the morning, milked my arm a bit, cleaned it up again, put the bandages over it, and I had no hot water at home. I was like, I can't be able to go to a shop and top it up. I just go to my mum and dad's, get a shower there. They're gone on holiday, going to Turkey. I turned up and they were still there. I was like, aren't you supposed to be at the airport? And my mum was like, you don't look very well. I was like, I'm fine. I just need to get in the shower. And I went and got in a hot shower, and I was just like, like that in the shower. And I was like, Mom, can you get me some ice water, some blankets, and a pack of ice for my head? And she was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, she was like, you've got a fever. If you want all these things that you're asking for, you've got a fever, you're bad. You know what I mean? She went, we're going to the hospital. So my dad jumped in my car, took me to the hospital, dropped me off there, then went straight to the airport. But yeah, I don't want to ruin the holiday. You know what I mean? But I would not have gone to the hospital if they didn't take me. And yeah, I get to the hospital, and I end up obviously waiting a long time, and then I get to see someone. This is going to be embarrassing, but I'll tell it anyway because this is what happened. Obviously, I put a lot of training in, nearly 3.5 years maybe, of training martial arts before my debut, and it was like 3 weeks away maybe. And other than that, everything was going okay, you know what I mean? Other than the staph infection.
Other than the fact you were half dead now.
Yeah, because I'd had the tattoo about 4 or 5 weeks out, so it's enough time for it to give it like 3 or 4 days to heal. And I think that's why I was putting so much cream on, get it so I can get back into training, you know what I mean? But it was already booked, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to cancel it. Anyway, it's hard enough to get in for a tattoo. You have to wait a long time sometimes. So I was like, I'll get it done, and then I'll just smash the training. Like, take a few days off, and it is what it is. But I ended up taking like nearly 2 weeks off because I ended up getting fucking staph. But yeah, I got to hospital, and there was this nurse that was absolutely fantastic. She came and seen me, And she was like, she gave me some paracetamol straight away. The paracetamol like took my blood pressure right down. My temperature was like 39 or something. Like it was high. I was hot. I was feverish. Like my head was pounding like hard. I was just not in a good state. And she was like, she was talking to me and that, and she was like saying, like, oh, you'll be all right. And I was like, I'm meant to fight in 3 weeks. I'm not going to be able to do it now. And she was like, look, you're gonna get better. You're gonna do this, and you're gonna smash it. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I started crying and that, and I was just like an absolute shell of myself. And literally, they drained it out, put iodine pads on it. Iodine pads on it, plastered it up, put me on a drip, IV antibiotics, fluids. Within 24 hours, I felt like a new man. I felt amazing. I was just like, modern medicine is amazing. And there was like, they kept me in for another day or 2 nights or something like that on a drip and that, on the antibiotics. And they gave me another week's course, so another week into the training, I was still on antibiotics up until like 2 weeks before or a week before. And like I actually asked to leave a day early. I was like, please just let me go. And yeah, I had cellulitis as well. Basically, it'd gone from what Max had recently. So it went from staph and got in the blood, and I had cellulitis. So I was like, that's why I was feeling so horrible. And then Jimmy was like the first spar back. He was like, if you don't hit these numbers on this, then you're not fighting. And I sparred okay. I sparred well. My grappling was working well, and that despite like having like no energy and antibiotics.
On loads of antibiotics.
Still running the
course. For anyone that doesn't know, when you're on antibiotics, for me, it just completely saps my gas tank. I can't breathe 30 seconds into a row.
And then he made me do a row for 5 minutes as fast as I could, as hard as I could go. And I did shit. I got like 1,100 meters or something like that. And he was just like, it's a good fucking job you sparred well today, or else you wouldn't be fighting.
Yeah, I remember him saying it. I remember him saying he needs to get however many floors on the verse this
week. I tried, but I was zapped.
But what he wanted to see was the mental element.
That's all it was. Yeah, I don't think he's bothered about actual numbers, but he's like, I tried and I sparred well, and he knew I wanted it, so he's just like.
Well, anyone that witnessed that, speaking from my perspective, it taught me a lot about you. Not that before that I thought Riley's a quitter or Riley doesn't have it mentally in him. Like, you don't know until someone has to go through something like that. Hearing that you put in hospital because you've got a heinously bad staph infection, I just assumed you weren't going to fight because it was only a few weeks out. And then you come out of hospital and you still want to fight. And then Jimmy put all this pressure on you. And instead of, it would have been so easy. I shouldn't really be fighting. No, like you were so dead set on fighting. I thought to myself, Riley fucking wants it.
No, I think I learned that about myself as well.
Riley really wants it. Of course, everyone wants it, but Riley really fucking wants it.
I think that's what made me cry afterwards as well. Like, just finally I got it done. All this pressure, because you got to think, when I first started as well training with Dean and that, I was a bit like, 6 months I can fight. Like, do a 6 months training, you can fight. Nah. You got to go through the ringer first, and I don't want to get too much into it, but last night I saw a lot of stuff where I was just like, a lot of you should not be fighting. Like, you shouldn't be fighting. And some people found out the hard way. And they've got to, like, as much as I knew that was going to happen, I had to go and let them do it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't sign them up for this fight.
It's a dangerous situation.
They did. And
it's a dangerous situation.
As much as they are part of the team in that, they're good lads, nothing against them. And I said this to one of them on the way home. I was like, you need to be in every day at least. And he was like, oh, my work and this. And I was like, I work full time too. Like, if you want to do it, this is what is required. And one of them got knocked out. One of them he got banged for 3 rounds and then submitted. And like, I said to them both, like, this is what you need to give you the kick up the arse. But like, you've got to fucking prepare for a fight, because
you can't play MMA.
You can't. You
can play jiu-jitsu a bit. The worst that's going to happen is, touch wood, you don't get injured, but you go to a comp and you get tapped really quickly.
You're promised fuck all. You are not promised anything. Like, you can train like fuck. You can spar amazing. You can have the best camp, be in the best shape, eat the best food, and get knocked out straight away. Like, that is the game, and you have to make peace with that. I make peace with that every single time. It's normally in the shower on the fight day. It's like, might get knocked out in front of my mum and dad today. That's the worst that's going to happen. I'm going to wake up and have a pizza later on. whatever it may be, you know what I mean? You got to make peace with it. And as soon as you like surrender to it, then you've got nothing to worry about. Enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of it. Like, what's the point in kicking yourself in the nuts, you know what I mean? And making it harder and questioning yourself, second guessing, like, fuck that. I ain't got time for that. Like, weigh in, face off, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, he's big, oh, he's this, oh, he's that. You know, fuck that. Like, he's just another man with 2 arms, 2 legs. Like, so you just got to go out there and do your best. And,
I came up with
you have to prepare for it. This is the point. You can't just can't play it.
You can't play it. And this saying's more appropriate again to jiu-jitsu really than MMA, but a little nugget of wisdom maybe that I came up with the other week was you've either got, when it comes to competing, you've either got to have fun or have it off. Do one or the other. Go compete and have fun, and yeah, you lose, but you had a great time. Or go and fucking have it off. You know what I mean? Give it your best. Go in there with the mentality, I will die here.
Yes.
So you walk away. You may not have had fun. It may have been a miserable experience, but you can drive home and go, you know what? I'm proud of myself. I gave it everything today.
Yeah.
Have fun. Either have fun or have it off. Do at least one of them. If you can do both, brilliant. It's maybe more applicable to jiu-jitsu because, like I said, you can't play MMA, but it still applies. I think. It still applies to a degree.
100%. And like, I think that's one thing Shane's found recently as well. After his recent loss at the trials, he was like I wasn't in the right headspace. I was being too friendly with people. I didn't feel nervous before going on the mat. I was too comfortable. And that is another thing. You can be complacent. I think my last fight, I was a little bit complacent. Like, just struggled to get into that. I remember like walking into the cage and thinking like, fucking hell, I'm here. Like, I've got to fight him now, you know what I mean? And like, once it started, like, you know, I made a few mistakes, but as the fight went on, I made adjustments, and towards the end, I started getting into it a bit more. But like, you've got to be switched on. Like, you have to be. For them 9 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is, you got to be switched on completely. And I think Shane was a little bit complacent, he was saying, and he was saying to me, look, I'm not going to make friends with anyone, even if I come across rude, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm putting my headphones on, my hood up, I'm getting in my zone. And since then, he's gone 4-1 against high-level competition on the Polaris Contenders. He went 3-1. And he said, I think the problem was between my second... He fought a really good guy in the last match, but he's like, sort of celebrated a bit too soon. I was like, fuck that. You haven't done anything until you've won it, the whole thing, you know what I mean? Don't fall into that trap again. And same with Cal Eleanor this weekend, you know, I was just like, yeah, Cal's a sound lad, shake his hand, nod and that, but you know what I mean? Like, be respectful, but do you know what I mean? Go out and do you. Like,
the more pressure I put on the situation and on myself, and the more intense my mindset, the better I do. I
think finding the balance as well.
It's finding the balance, and some people say I do better when there's less pressure. I know Matt says that, Matt Locke, and my honest opinion of it is this: some people, they may do better when there's less pressure on them because they're not good at dealing with pressure. In my opinion, everyone does better when there's more pressure once they learn how to deal with pressure. If you do better, if you perform better when there's less pressure on you, when you put less pressure on yourself than when you do, it's because you haven't learned how to use that pressure yet. It again goes back to the nerves, the butterflies. I think everybody performs better under pressure because the more pressure, the more meaning there is to it. Definitely. The more it matters.
A great example of this was when I had that match with Joe Little. Like, I walked into the, he'll admit to this as well, he told me afterwards, like, I walked into the toilets and he seemed to, like, when he seen me a bit like taken aback as we crossed in the toilets, and I was a bit like, chill, like, oh, you all right, dude? And he was a bit, you know what I mean? Like, and in the back, he was pacing a lot, and I could see he looked stressed. I was going, Shane, he's fucking nervous. He's nervous. Like, I'm cool as a cucumber. Did my warm-up. I was too comfortable. He came out, like, ready, you know what I mean? Like, coming after me, you know what I mean? I was thinking, fucking hell, this guy needs to chill. He's going to gas. And then he caught me. I was like, fuck. And then I was just like, and then he said to me, I was so nervous about this. He had all his mates watching and all this. And I was like, that's why you won. Like, he had that, what I didn't, you know what I mean? If I was maybe a little bit nervous, I might have had that urgency, that, you know, been a bit more switched on. And I think it's like, that definitely fueled it for him, I think. So it goes to what you're saying, you know what I mean? The pressure, he used it.
Yeah, it's difficult, man, mate. It doesn't feel nice.
Harness the nerves.
It doesn't, all of us that compete, we all know that feeling. It doesn't feel nice.
No, it's just like every time, like, why the fuck am I here?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, but when it's over, you're like, that's why. But it's the waiting. It's the waiting.
It's exactly that. I just think if I could just compete now, if I could just step on the mats now, but that's not. You don't get to you don't get to just turn it on the moment before you step foot on the mat. You have to turn it on. The earlier you turn it on, the more you're in that mind space. The longer you're in that mind space, the more you cultivate that intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be able to turn it on and turn it off, maybe some people can do that, but I don't think so. Look like Michael Jordan. I don't know if you've watched the Last Dance documentary.
I haven't.
He was like always, and that's why it was so exhausting for him. He was always in that mindset. Like someone said, oh, he had that thing where he could turn it off and turn it on, and then they said, but he never turned it off. So he didn't really have that thing where he could turn it off and turn it on, because he was always in that. Yeah, I've got to be perfect. I've got to be the best. Got to be the best at everything. Yeah. I've seen bits of it. I think my mum and dad was watching it. I'd really recommend it. Yeah. I watch it like once a year. Yeah, just for mindset.
I'll give it a watch. Yeah, I'll give it.
Cap off the experience of your first fights.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah.
So obviously you had the staph infection. Yeah. Jimmy talking about pressure. Jimmy put all the pressure on you, and you rose to the occasion.
Got in there, made the weight. Turned up to the venue the next day with Tom and Dean and all that, and all the boys, and Jack was fighting, Josh was fighting. It was just a great vibe in the back. And I seen like a video of Prince Naseem Ahmed a while ago, and it might be one of his coaches, but it was in the back before a fight, or at least talking about what it should be like. And it was like, you should have all your mates, there should be music going, you should make it the environment you're in at the gym, like make it normal. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be that somber feel to it. You know what I mean? It should be I bring the speaker, bang my tunes on, I'm laughing, I'm joking, but serious. I'm serious. I know the task at hand, but I make myself comfortable. You know what I mean? And the Jimmy doesn't stop ripping me, and Joe will be having a laugh and that. Serious, but like there's that element of this is what we do every day. You know what I mean? And going into the fight, like I said before, I was just waiting for the nurse to come. I was like, Jimmy, I was like, I'm not nervous. And he's like, yeah, you won't be. And I was like, what? I'm supposed to be though. It's like, whatever. Yeah, I'm not nervous. And
I remember you saying actually afterwards, you said to me, I was saying to myself before I walked out, it's just like sparring Aaron on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. It's just every day. And Kieran said back to me, he's like, you said I do this shit every day. I think that might have been another fight actually. It might have been another fight I did that, but I do this shit every day. It's just another day. You know what I mean? It's just another day. And I always do this thing. I said to Matt, I was like, you do it as well. But every time you see him, just say to yourself, I'm going to fuck you up. Like that's a little thing I like to do. It's like, just manifest it a bit. Like, look at him like, I'm going to fuck you up. Like, I don't just like picture it in my mind. Like I say it and I look at them and I see him. Even right before I'll peek through the curtain maybe, or I'll see him walking around the venue and I just look at them and I'm like, yep, I'm coming for you.
And that's the difference between being too nice, too calm, and remembering why you're here.
Yeah, remember why you're here. Remind yourself why you're here. You're purpose. Like Jimmy always says, Wednesday night with bad intentions. Like I was saying that to Matt. I was just rhetoric repeating to Matt what Jimmy says to me. You know what I mean? And what I've heard other fighters say, and just because that was that was my first time cornering last night where like I was sort of in charge. You know what I mean? Because it was just me, Matt, and Max. Like everyone else was at Grapple Fest or Golden Ticket or elsewhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, getting there. I remember it feel like a very visceral feeling. Like weird when I first punched his face. It's like punching a pack of meat. I was like, what the fuck? Like the first jab I landed, I was like, what? And then he was chopping my leg and kicking my arms, and I remember thinking, yeah, that's sharp and that, but like, it's okay. And I remember I got him down. He came after me a little bit, took him down, and then I went up to Jimmy in the corner. I was like, I'm just going to take him down. Stub him. The first few fights, I really didn't like it on the feet. I didn't feel comfortable, and I found that a lot more lately. I'm hoping to showcase that a little bit more in my next fight, how much my striking has come on. And I feel like I did in the third round of my last fight. So I was hoping to grapple the guy, but I got out grappled. But then I had him up on the feet in the third round. So
pick up where you left off.
Yeah, pick up where I left off, definitely. And massive improvements made since September as well. Big improvements made. But yeah, get him down, going between rounds. Jimmy's like, that's nice, put him down when you want. The level change is there. Don't rush it, but it's there. And then I remember like you know, it was pretty even, like similar sort of round. And then I heard Jimmy go, pace, pace, pace. And I remember going, oh, pace, that means like work harder. I'm tired. And like, I was like, I've got to put him down and finish his fight. Like, and then I go for like a low kick because I used to go low kick to see if they move and stuff, to like set my Osoto up, see if they were sort of in range for it. And then I ended up getting the Osoto. I was landing it a bit in sparring. Jimmy had taught it a handful of times, but I was landing it. So fuck it, went for it. It worked pretty much straight into the pass, mount, ground and pound. And yeah, just total elation, like did some mongy celebration afterwards. And I remember walking out and Clayton was like, you want to get matched up for March or whatever it was, whenever the next show. I was like, I don't know, I don't need to fucking like
December, wasn't it? It was like going
decompress. Like it was, yeah, he wanted me to fight in December. That was it. Someone ended up pulling out, so I didn't do that. And then I did March instead. But yeah, I remember walking out thinking, fucking hell, that was crazy. The adrenaline rush felt amazing. And then I started crying. I was just like, I'm not sad. I'm not sad. Like, why am I crying? And Jimmy was like, I was trying not to let it out. It's on the Patreon, the main one. But on the YouTube, you just see me crying a little bit. And people were really nice in the comments. Some people were calling me a bit of a bitch. But main people was like, there's so much, like, the chemistry in your brain is all over the place. Like no shame in it. And like I didn't want to cry in front of her. I was like proper trying hard not to do it. And then Mystery went, Tom Aspinall. And I went, what, cried? And he went, yeah. He's trying to make it like it's okay. Like someone like Tom Aspinall crying after he won his first UFC bonus. He was like, it's fine. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. That was what he was trying to say. And I just started laughing. And I went in, I found a little corner. And I just couldn't do it in front of people. I just could not. I had to go find a little space. I just sort of let it out. And I was like, I'm fine now. Like, I've got it out of my system. And then I just enjoyed the rest of the night. Tom knocked out Jerome. And then we got home and we were just sat there like high. Like just sat there like wide awake.
And not on drug, not
no,
stone,
high on like
high on
life,
the experience.
Like, we were sat in the living room till like 2 o'clock in the morning, like just looking at each other like, what the fuck just happened tonight? This was crazy, you know what I mean? We went out there and both just fucking smashed it and come home, like put some film on it, some pizza, and we're just like, what the fuck? This is mental. And then we went and got McDonald's actually because Tom was going, like meowing, like the staff like he's not behind the bag, meowing while I was waiting for our food. Yeah, and we're just at the house, just like, wow, that was crazy. I was mad. Like, and from that night as well, it's funny because like they kneaded out my gloves and like, you know, broke them down. And as soon as my fighter like took them to the side, and Tom picked them up and was like, oh, I'll use these, good luck, you know what I mean? They've just, you know, Riley just won them. They were already smashed up and that.
Oh, he used the same gloves?
He used the same gloves to knock out Jerome. So, and then Ella ended up with them and I got them back off Ella and I got a little glove stand and one of them's on like my desk at home. Just like, it just stood up like that, like a closed glove. And I gave Tom the other one.
The left one?
Yeah, I gave Tom the one he knocked out Jerome with. Yeah, so I've got one and he's got the other somewhere. Special. I don't know, he's probably lost it. You know what he's like.
That's special. Mate, that's the kind of kind of materialism you want in your life.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, so that's just gathering dust next to my TV. And then his is, I gave him the stand and the glove, like whether he wanted to do anything with it or not, I don't know.
He's put it on a few nights out in Newcastle.
Probably.
Named a few people.
Yeah, hopefully he's still got it. I'd like to think he has. He probably got it somewhere in a bag somewhere, but yeah, it's just a little homage to that night and obviously our relationship. And now we're, you know, he's in Newcastle or other side of the country and I'm over here, so there's a bit of something over there with him. If he's watching this, he'd probably feel guilty if it is like in the bin or in the loft or something.
If you've lost it, Tom,
you better dig that glove out. And yeah, that was my debut, and I don't think it could have been any better than it was. And I'm glad it wasn't rushed. So that's like anyone who's thinking about fighting, don't rush. Like, no matter how old you are, how experienced you are, wait until your coaches tell you are ready. And if you're not at an appropriate gym, or there's a lot of delusion. There is a lot of delusion. People are deluded. Like, go to a hard gym, do some rounds, and be honest with yourself. What happened afterwards? Because if it wasn't good, then you need to have a sit down. You need to find someone like a Jimmy. Like, people will walk in that are okay. They go, I want to fight. And Jimmy's like, okay, a year on the mats every day. And then we'll talk about a fight. The problem with like certain shows that don't, like, The like Golden Ticket, for instance, won't, and other shows, good shows, they won't let you independently just sign up for a fight. They'll want the coach or a manager or something like that. Yeah, hold you accountable. They know you're going to turn up and make weight, and you're going to fight this person, all being well. Obviously, some things can happen, but generally speaking, independent fighters, no accountability. They can just fight week. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? And it's bad for everyone. Like, it's bad for the sport. It's bad for the promoter. It's bad for whoever you're fighting. It's bad on you.
Yeah, it's bad on you.
It's just shit. Like, find an accredited gym with a good team, and wait until you are told that you are ready. Like, you're not promised fuck all. There's no like, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like, you do what you're told. Yeah. And if you're not good enough, you're not good enough. If it hurts your feelings, then you're not cut out for it. You know what I mean? Like, get in and do the work and shut up, basically. And that's all you need to do. It's not hard. It is hard. Obviously, it's hard. It's very physically and mentally demanding, but
it's simple.
It's a simple process. Get in, do your weights, do your cardio, do your sparring, do your road work, do your jiu-jitsu, do your wrestling. And then that's the bare minimum. Me and Jake probably do 4 or 5 hours a week, sometimes extra, or one, anywhere between 1 hour, 2 hours to 5 hours a week. We'll stay behind. And today we're probably going to end up drilling for a couple of hours today. We did an extra half an hour yesterday. We did an extra hour on Sunday because we wanted to just do a bit more. You know what I mean? We're always trying to do more. Like, and that is also like, that's the bare minimum. If you work a full-time job, you need to put in that extra time. Like, it is not a game, and not enough people know that. And I was just, last night was quite an eye-opening experience. Not for me, I already knew that, but like,
For a lot of other people.
For a lot of other people. It should have been. They should have walked away from that and been like, oh, you know what I mean?
It's wild to me because Jimmy wanted me to fight, and I didn't feel like I was ready. He said, I think, right opponent, you're ready. I didn't feel like I was ready, and I never really had the desire to fight either.
I think at that point where you were getting in the mix with everybody, if you'd have took another debuter, I think he would not have looked at that place at all. You know what I mean?
Looking back at it, because you can look back at it with more of a third-party perspective when it's in the past. I think I was absolutely ready. I think maybe if I'd done some rounds with like some other people, because the team was so good, you know, my rounds were with
other
you.
Aaron Waglele's coming through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you were at like the bottom of the amateurs, and then there were people.
With you, Jack, Josh, Kieran, Tom, all these guys.
Tyrell.
Yeah. Winning a round was a rare occurrence for me. So yeah, it was maybe that.
It was about winning moments of rounds or surviving moments. They were the victories. They're the victories early on.
Yeah. But to me, that's why I never really wanted to anyway. But Jimmy was always very keen for me to do it. But my mindset was, I don't want to do it unless I really feel like, absolutely, 100%, I'm ready to fight today. Yeah. So then 8 weeks from now, oh wow, it's going to be, you know what I mean? But a whole another level. So it's crazy for me to see people that are just taking it so blasé is the word. Yeah.
And it's just like, look, if you haven't got like fundamentals in every area, like that will get you through a debut. Or maybe you're a good blue belt with a bit of boxing and you know how to do a double leg. You might be all right. It is amateur at the end of the day, but the spectrum's so broad, so you might get matched up fairly, you might get matched up unfairly. You know what I mean? So you want to be at least fundamentally sound in one area, at least. You know what I mean? But like Jimmy made sure, like, you know, I had good jiu-jitsu. He made sure I had like good bread and butter wrestling, and knew how to keep safe on the feet. You know what I mean? And then the rest of it you got to learn. You got to learn the hard way, on the fly, in the fights, but you don't want to learn by getting knocked out or badly hurt in your first few fights. You know what I mean? Like
that's again like
that's enough to maybe put you off for good or damage you to the point where you can't do it again.
Well, it takes one concussion, man.
Yeah, one of the lads took a lot of damage last night, a lot of damage, and I was just like, that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I was talking to Jimmy about this a couple of weeks ago, and to be honest, this was like a factor of why I was never really keen to fight. I had a bad concussion when I was 18 years old because the gym that I used to train at, it was a lot more cowboy and Wild West than the proper operation we have here. And the coach got us to do 4 ounce. We weren't experienced at all. Just got us to put 4 ounce gloves on and start banging each other. Lovely. And I thought, okay, we've got like worn down 4 ounce gloves. We're just going to do light rounds. And this guy, I mean, obviously defend yourself at all times. So I just came out a bit like, oh yeah, we're just going to have a touch.
Big overhand.
Big overhand. Right, I didn't go down. I think I fell back into the ropes because it was in a ring. But just right in the centre of the forehead, and it was a bad concussion.
Right in the frontal cortex.
Yeah. And since then, like, that's me. After sparring, I get headaches and stuff. And I don't know if maybe I just had that susceptibility before that, or whether that then gave me problems downstream. Yeah. So it just goes to show, like, it only takes one bad concussion.
Yeah, especially at the front here as well. That's like, that can have an effect on, like, people have car crashes and they come out like either angrier or happier people.
Yeah.
Like, it goes one way or the
that's
other
it. Maybe I wouldn't be so angry. And,
maybe you loosen up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I was always angry and horrible. I can't blame it on
that. It's not good. You don't play MMA, basically.
No.
And even at this stage, look, I'm not even a pro yet, but I recognise it for what it is. You know what I mean? And like, I do want to go pro one day, so it's like...
Let's talk about that, because I've got that written down.
So yeah, like...
What's your vision? What's your goals for BJJ and MMA?
Like, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing in BJJ. I want to compete in, I would like to compete on stuff like Polaris and pursue professional grappling as well, alongside MMA, and just either do both or see which one, because they go hand in hand. And yeah, like, have a few more fights, maybe get a couple of amateur titles, and then see what we're saying. Obviously, Jimmy's the man, so I'll do what he thinks is right. But that's got to be in the back of your mind, you know what I mean? Like, if you're training for amateur, I treat it like it's pro, you know what I mean? Like, I'll take days off work to come to the squad sessions, going down London, shoot, put him in with people like Imran, who's an absolute beast. And it's just like, it shows you what is expected at that level. And it's just like, that was a nice little reminder, a little bit of a kick up the arse that I needed, you know what I mean? Not saying I'm not doing enough, but you can always do more. You can always do more. You can always get better, because you might have to fight a guy like him one day. And that was a rough session, very humbling. I got a few bits off, but mate, it was all him. You know what I mean? Like, he's fucking good, man. He's a beast. And definitely watch him. I'm gonna watch his career. I think he's 4-0 as an amateur, 1-1 as a pro. Whoever the guy beat him, I do not know who he was, because he's fucking sick.
I'm not familiar with this guy. What's his full name? Imran?
I don't know. I don't want to butcher his full name.
Yeah.
But I've got him on Instagram. Imran, he's a young lad from Shoot. Very Josh-esque on the feet. Similar style. Very light on his feet. Good legs. Sharp striking.
Sharp striker.
Very good wrestler as well. Very good jiu-jitsu. Like, solid everywhere, and probably excels even more in the striking than he does in the grappling. So yeah, we did 3 frees and about 30 minutes rolling, and that was, it was rough, man. It was good. It was good. I learned loads. It was it's always hard to take at the time, when you have a hard session, but like on the way back, I was just like, that was so beneficial, like in so many different ways. Like, straight away at night, I was working on the things that I wanted to improve on, and I wrote down a list. And yeah, especially this far out from a fight, it's good to have that, you know what I mean? Like, I've been doing pretty, I've had hard rounds with Jack and Dean and other people and stuff like that, but it's nice to have one of them ones where you just, you have a hard round, like round like with Jimmy or something, just to show you that you ain't shit. When Jimmy comes in, it's just like,
keeps you tough.
Yeah,
if nothing else, it keeps you tough.
And it's just like, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it can't be as bad as sparring Jimmy. And that's what I told myself before going shoot.
Goggins calls it the mental Rolodex, doesn't he?
Who does?
Goggins. He calls it the mental Rolodex or something. He's like, go to the mental Rolodex.
Yeah.
He just finds something that he's like, this is worse than what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So I know I can do this.
And that's what Dean was saying. He's like, just stay sharp. It's tough gym and all that. I was like, can't be as hard as sparring Jimmy. I was like, I'll go in with that mentality that I'm going to spar Jimmy and I'll be all right. And I was, you know what I mean? I did my best. I tried my best, but I didn't do my best. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that was a good reflection of me that day. Fucking MVP's outside the cage with like training for his fight in the UFC. There's Alexis, who I've heard all these stories about. There's all these.
Was that your first time down?
First down shoot.
Yeah.
There's all these guys outside the cage, like Jake, Jimmy's watching.
KSI came down to watch a bigger celebrity than him.
I'd like. He didn't, but it would be cool if he did. It would have been nice to meet him.
Was Bugsy Malone down there?
Bugsy Malone or Skepta wasn't down there either, but MVP was there, and a few times I remember like just looking out the cage and like, yeah, he's watching. And I was like, when I was watching him watch Jake, and I was like, he must have been watching me as well, watching his boy just piece me up, and maybe that pressure got to me a little bit. And Jimmy said I was trying to be too neat, like trying to play Imran's game a little bit, and he was calling for the red man. He was like, "Come on, show me a bit of the red man," and I was trying to find it, but it's just one of them days, and I think I needed it, and it's just straight back to the graft and a hard next couple of weeks until the fight. And you know what? A lot of people, I feel like that it would have maybe knocked the confidence a little bit, but for me, it was just like, if anything, it's like boosted my confidence.
You've got to turn it into a strength, haven't you?
Yeah, it's just like, I'm just excited to get in there and show what I can do, because I know what I'm capable of. And I'm looking forward to this one. I feel like it's gonna be one where, a bit like my third fight, where I show up and show out a little bit. You know what I mean? Show up and just show levels. I feel like I will.
Riley Daniels is never more dangerous than after a loss, after you've just subbed him, after you've just caught him with something. That's when you are at your most dangerous. Anyone will attest to this that sparred or rolled with you or competed against you. Like, we don't really spar much anymore, but when I do spar, even though it's lighter than the hell rounds we used to do, if I catch you with a shot and I can tell like you weren't really expecting it, your face changes and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, it's coming forward now. And then when we roll, like I got you, almost got you with that bread basket.
That was good. That was tight. Caught me sleeping a little bit on a lazy shot, I think. And yeah.
You got out of that, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" Now I'm in for it. But it was all right actually that round.
That was a very good round. You've been doing all that stuff I've been wanting you to do for so long.
You've been calling for 6 months.
And it's like you can take a horse to water, can't you? I can tell you to do it until you until I'm like blue in the lips. You know what I mean? I can keep saying it until you go, "Oh, I need to do that." Then mystery calls it a lighty, like a light bulb moment, little lighty. You've had that lighty where you're like, I need to stop doing that and start doing it this way, and fuck me, it worked. Yeah. It worked to great effect, and then I was shooting on you, panicky, and then you're taking mine. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's a reverse to me. It's like literally doing to me what I did to him.
But yeah, my point is like that switch. You have everyone's switch is activated by different things. And yours is definitely activated when someone beats you, when someone catches you in a good shot, when someone subs you.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing.
Yeah, you coming off a loss is a dangerous Riley Daniels to fight.
Shane said, if I see you in the mount at the start of a match, I know you're going to win.
That's a good way to put it.
He's like, you're always losing before you win them. But I was like, yeah, it's a good trait to have. But I was like, this time, no. Like, I'm from minute one, second one to the end of the fight, it's going to be me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let him do what he wants to do. He's in for a rough time, I think.
Yeah. What gym's he from? What kind of, do you know much about him? Like his style?
He's a bit, he likes to strike. I think he's got a couple of decision wins, a couple of TKOs maybe, and a decision win and a couple of losses. 2-2, I think he is. Game, comes forward, he's a bit long, but nothing I ain't seen before, nothing I'm too worried about. Ultimate respect, as always, like absolutely, he's completely capable of catching me. Anyone's got a puncher's chance, but I just think I'm going to show levels, to be honest. And yeah, like I say, I always respect my opponent every single time. Maybe even more so after each fight, because I might have I might think, oh, he's this and that, and then I get in there, I'm like, oh, I was wrong about that. So don't be so fucking sure of yourself either, like in terms of like, just focus on what you're going to do, you know what I mean? I was a bit like, oh, he's sloppy here, he's not going to be able to do that to me, and he fucking did that to me, you know what I mean? So I was just like, look, they're all capable of doing something, but I ain't going to let that happen. I'm going to just focus on me and do what I need to do, and recognise that they're dangerous, because it's a fight at the end of the day. As much as there's all the showmanship and the cameras and all that bullshit they announce in the walkout, it is a fist fight. Like, so, and they are there to win. They're not there to play a game. You know, he's there to come and hurt me, and that's just the game. And I'm gonna try and hurt him a lot more than he hurts me, and hopefully not let him even land a single punch. Like, I just want to fuck him up. Like, I just want to get in there and just show him. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I don't take disrespect when people take a fight, obviously, but like, I've just gone from like a 4-0
It's a fight
guy.
at the end of the day.
Like,
it's a fight.
It's a fight. You've got to go.
You're looking at him, saying to him in your mind, "I'm going to fuck you up,"
he's
saying it back to you.
He thinks that he can come and beat me. So like, nah, I'm not going to let that happen. You know what I mean? I'm in a good place at the minute, so I'm like injury free. Like, I'm feeling good. Like, feeling fit. Like, massive improvements, a lot of lessons learned recently, and I'm just excited. I am excited for this one.
A term that I'm sure was one you used yourself, a melted bowl of porridge.
A melted bowl of porridge.
I'm sure you've used that term to describe yourself in the past in terms of your body composition.
Yeah, porridge. Yeah, I look like porridge.
Yeah.
My mate said it about someone at work, and like, he took his top off the other day and he looked like porridge, and I thought that was really funny. And I was just like, yeah, I used to look like porridge, yeah.
It's such a brilliant description, but you used to look like porridge.
Yeah, like skinny fat, like, and I was a little bit
skinny fat,
and a little bit chubby when I was a kid, and then I got a bit taller, and then I was just like a bit skinny fat, no muscle mass, and just, you know, yeah. But what about porridge?
Yeah, sorry, I haven't just said that just
what
to,
about
just
my
to
porridge
say it.
belly
Yeah.
and my stretchy
The
skin?
point is, you're not porridge anymore. You're in great shape now. That's really been a change. It's only happened over the last, I'd say, 18 months, 2 years maybe. But really
I've definitely been working on it for the entirety of
what have you done? What have you done to change that?
Well,
other than work with me on your SSC?
I definitely got, when we were working together, I know we haven't worked together in a few months, since before Christmas really, but it's just...
We'll get back to it.
We'll get back to it, but it's just we both work full-time jobs, train full-time, it's just getting it in, it's hard. But we definitely made some good strength gains, and that has made this weight cut a little bit harder, because I'm bigger.
Oh,
definitely a bit bigger, yeah.
I'm good for the gains, I'm not good for the weight cut.
I've put on some muscle mass for sure, so that has been attributed to you. I think it's my legs, to be honest, that are a bit heavier. But yeah, I've always done weights, but never really knew what I was doing, and I think it's more my body has adapted, rather than, I haven't done anything particularly special. I've trained with you and Perry, we've done all the stuff you need to do for martial arts, which I think my body's just responded. Another Goggins thing is like, your body will respond, your body will change, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that is what it is. But
what about the diet side of things?
Diet, yeah, that's I'm still learning, but definitely I do eat more whole foods now. I definitely do that more.
Because that's what it seems like to me. I think definitely
more
like commitment to resistance training and that stuff.
Yeah.
But as well, because we talk about nutrition a lot.
Creatine.
Yeah,
Stay on top of my creatine.
I think you take your nutrition more seriously. So that's what I would say.
Take my vitamins. I like my milk. I have had to not have as much this camp because it's
I offered you some of the raw goods.
It's so the calories in milk, man. You know when you're training and you need that, mate. I just want to say, like, sack off these fucking USN and fucking shitty. I like some of some brands I do like, but if you want a protein shake for £1, fuck off Huel as well. If you look at the actual vitamins in Huel, it says it's got everything right, but the amounts of what it's got is not even enough for you.
I'll happily say this very decisively. In my humble opinion, Huel's absolute garbage. No, it's not healthy for you.
I would rather have a pint of milk, a pint of whole milk. What you can get in whole, it's a meal. Like, as much as it's a drink, have it with a banana if you want a bit of fibre. That's a meal. Like, and if you're trying to keep your calories up in camp and stay strong and want that extra protein, I drink 2 pints a day outside of camp. I'll drink 2 pints a day of whole milk. Like, I'll make sure I drink it. I don't always get raw because it's not always accessible to me. But
I need to get you some more after your fight. I'll get you some more for after your fight.
Yeah, lovely job.
Yeah, it's a victory treat.
Yeah, whole foods for one for sure, and milk. And if you do want to supersize it, get more bang for your buck, 25 gram of protein scoop into your milk, and you've got that is fucking great. Like it's amazing what you can make for so cheap, like omelets. Why are you having a 3-egg omelet? Have a 6-egg omelet.
Yeah.
Omelets, peppers, onions, a bit of cheese, like easy, simple, like healthy, low calories, high protein. Just like eating good is not hard.
Yeah.
But
I don't have
it's
time
so
to
much-
eat good is a bullshit excuse. I don't have the money to eat good is a bullshit excuse.
But it's so much easier. You look around the supermarket and you can understand why people who don't understand a thing about nutrition don't know where to start, because 80% of a shop's produce is shit. Like unless it's like fresh veg, meat and poultry and vegetables and stuff like that, the rest of it's shit. It is just shit. And I like shit. I like refined sugar. I like that. Don't get me wrong. We're all a sucker for it. But you're not going to enjoy it much if you're not having it as a treat. Have it as a treat. Have it, instead of every day, once every couple of days or once a weekend or whatever it may be. But like that, I know a lot of fighters as well that are like all or nothing. And either it's all on or all off. I'm like pretty moderate most of the time, and then I just put a few things to the side when I'm training for a fight. And it's like people are always asking me because they know at work and like, how do I lose weight? And I say, look, you can do this, that, and the other, but getting down to the tickle of it, you all aren't disciplined enough. Like you're all too lazy. I love them all. They're all sound gut people and that, but they're full of shit. They're full of shit, and it's just like, I've had a salad, and I was like, but you had a pasty off the van, and you've got 50 grams of sugar in your Monster Energy drink. You can literally get the sugar-free version of that. If you want an energy drink, get the sugar-free version. Why are you drinking 50 grams of sugar? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? If you're saying you want to lose weight, but you're eating a pack of Oreos every day. So, do you want to lose weight, or do you just want the result? Like. People just don't want to put in the work, and that is the long and short of it. Like they just do not want to do Instagram and social media, as bad as it is. And I don't totally agree with everything Eddie Abu says. I think he's full of a lot of shit, and he's obviously on steroids or has been for a long time.
Oh yeah, he admits that.
Yeah. And I think he talks a lot of rubbish as well. He does talk a lot of rubbish. But
which parts don't you agree with? Out of curiosity.
I'd have to go back and watch particular videos. But he was saying stuff. Yeah, I don't want to go into it because I'm not as informed as I
There's so much information out there.
Yeah, and you can
because one expert says
one thing and one says another
and one
thing.
says another over the other side of the fence.
But like, and then all these people eating off chopping boards. Like, what are you doing? Put a bit of seasoning on it and some veg on a plate. Why are you just eating raw mincemeat, you weirdo? Not raw mincemeat, but just mincemeat and salt, some onions and peppers in it, and a bit of paprika. What are you doing? Like, eating off a chopping board, it's just going to fall off.
So is this an intervention?
But no, not you. You don't eat off chopping boards. Put it on a plate. There's all these people like the superhuman diet. Like, how are you superhuman? What are you doing? You're going to the gym and lifting weights. What are you talking about? Like, you're not even doing an extreme sport. Like, who are you to tell me what to do? But it's like there's too many extremes. Like, you're all vegan, or you're a carnivore, or you're a this, or you're a that. Just like you don't have to.
We're terrible at moderating.
Yeah, just moderate it. Like I'll eat a lot of meat. Like, I would eat vegan food. I'll try it all. Like more variation, and I feel better for it. But like the point I'm getting at is like it's useful because one thing Eddie Abu has taught me, I look at the ingredients now. I look at the ingredients on a lot more stuff, and it's fucking eye-opening.
It is, man.
And I'm like,
a jar of olives.
What is
the amount of things in a jar of olives?
If you don't say it, if you can't, like something's like, I'll just bite the bullet and have it because it is what it is. But most of the time, I'm just like, I don't know what any of this is. Even deodorant, I don't wear deodorant. I might smell. Don't really give a fuck.
No, I don't wear it either.
Look at the fucking ingredients in deodorant. There's all sorts of shit in that. Why are you spraying that on your skin? It's insane. And like you pick up a pack of ham. Oh, it's just ham. It's just meat, sugarlose, water, and just chicken, for instance. You weigh chicken, it's just full of water. When you weigh it from it's raw to cooked, it's completely. It's like you lose like 100, 200 grams sometimes. Like, there is a lot of shit in food, and people just are misinformed. But like the Eddie Abus and these. I follow this other guy who's got this tonic brand. He does these tonic, like electrolyte and vitamin tablets, but he'll go in supermarkets and go, choose this honey over this, choose this over this. And he says like, this is gut disruptive, this is this. And it's like, if you want to find it, it is out there. Ask fucking ChatGPT, for instance. Like,
it's never been easier. It's never been easier. The only thing that's difficult is sifting through the information because there's so much of it.
You could literally ask ChatGPT to write you a diet and meal plans. Like, meal prep is not hard. I've got an air fryer at work now. I cook fresh food every day. I take in onions, peppers, tomatoes, rice, and chicken, and we cook fresh food every day.
That's brilliant.
As much as food prep's good, I don't like this tubbing up 20 meals for the week. I don't agree with that either. I think if that helps you lose weight, then great. And you often find that it's the people who were like once fat that couldn't control themselves there and now obsessive over that. And if that works for you, then that's great. But for me, I like to cook fresh every meal. Like, really. I'd rather do the extra
bring in my bowl
like instead of no plastic and stuff like that. But like, I would rather cook fresh every time, cook my onions instead of doing it on one big bulk and leaving it in the fridge and microwaving the chicken. Like, nah, I'd rather cook fresh every day. And I have a little routine at work. I'll cook my chicken, season it up, leave it on the side, cook the veg, then I'll do the chicken, and then we've got a meal for lunch. I'll go home, I'll either make an omelette. Sometimes if I'm lazy, I'll get a meal from next door, but it is what it is. You can't. I'm not saying I'm better than most. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not hard. It's not hard. I am no cook whatsoever. I'm not a chef. Like, I've got a slow cooker and a frying pan and an air fryer, and you can do so much with that. This Board of Lunch, there's this other page I follow, bunch of them on Instagram. Most of my Instagram feed at the moment is food. I've made a big change a lot since working with you and learning more about raw whole foods. Got rid of the
thoughts out the algorithm.
Yeah, got rid of a lot of the meme accounts and stuff like that. They did generously on my Instagram, and it's more food and
it's just on Joe's now. It's just on Joe Taylor's.
Yes, it's just on Joe Taylor's. So we've just messed up his algorithm. But yeah, like, it's never been easier. Like, it's so powerful. Like, ChatGPT, Instagram, there's loads. I've been sending them all my mates. Like, cook this, easy. It's easy. Chicken wrap, 15 minutes, banging. Like 50 gram of protein, like 500 calories, perfect. Omelette, bang. Chicken in the air fryer, steak and potatoes, one of your classics. It's not hard. It is really not hard. And it's harder when you're trying to make weight because you've got to have less portions. But if you're just trying to eat healthy and and you're not really bothered about your relationship to the weight you are to the floor, then as long as you look and feel good, then it don't really matter, you know what I mean? You don't have to have like, I need to be 13 stone. Why? You got a bodybuilding competition, or you got to be a certain...
You look good, you feel good.
Do you look good? Do you feel good? You know what I mean? Or are you smoking cigarettes, smoking vapes, and sniffing on the weekend, eating kebab shop, Domino's, and McDonald's 3 days a week, and do you feel like shit? It's like, I'm not naming names, but someone I know recently, for a friend of a friend, went to the hospital and was like, I'm not sleeping, I feel I've got anxiety, I've got this. Right? And I know for a fact this person drinks a lot, they do drugs, they have a terrible lifestyle. Doctor didn't ask him any of that. How's your sleep? What's your diet like? Are you exercising? Why aren't these questions being asked? Why isn't that I want you to do this, I want to see your weight to come down, I want to see this, let me know if your sleep improves, and then, but no, here's a tablet. So, yeah.
And this is a whole rabbit hole that we could go down. We'll have to do it on another episode of the podcast. I actually have a mate of mine who's a doctor with the NHS. I'm having him come on in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to talk to him a lot about that stuff. Because
I'm not saying they're all like that, but that does happen.
Well, that's the protocol they're given. You know what I mean? The protocol they're given is we need to sell this amount of tablets. So when someone comes to you, and that's not exactly how it's said, but that's basically how it's done. And yeah, God, these people are going to the doctors saying, I feel depressed, I'm anxious. And if the doctors inquired into their lifestyle, they'd be able to see why, and they'd be able to give like a real life prescription of, I think you should go to the gym 5 days a week. I think, you know what I mean, you should go out and go for a walk every morning. I think you should clean up your diet, stop drinking. But no, that's not what makes money.
And the vape culture as well. it's such an easy time, like Dana White said, to be a savage because everyone's fucking pussies. Like they're just walking around sucking on vapes. Like
I don't believe those vapes are any healthier than cigarettes.
School kids walking around with tutti frutti vapes and that 3,000 puffers all getting popcorn lung. Like one of my mates was like, "Oh, my mate's just been in hospital. He's got like lung collapsed and that. Are you going to pack in that vape then?" "Oh, I'm going to try." 6 months later, still smoking them and cigarettes, both of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like judging I'm not like coming after these people. Like they're not bad people, but I'm just like, don't complain about your life being one way, but don't do anything about it.
Don't complain about a problem that you can 100% fix.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not just going to just shit on everybody who's not living as well as me because I ain't got it figured out either. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah. But like you said, you do have a good bit figured out.
Yeah, and I'm still learning, and I'm not perfect, but I'm just saying, like,
well, to go back to the starting point of this this like mini discussion we've had, the proof's in the pudding because you used to look like porridge and you don't anymore.
No.
And that's a result of conscious choices.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just if you say like we've just gone over, it's never been easier. Like, go on Google, ask the questions. It's fucking easy. Pay a bit of your wage. People are so happy to pay for lip filler, getting their hair done, going on holidays and doing all this, but they don't want to do anything to help their lifestyle. And like, you know, the money you're spending on the lip filler and the liposuction and the BBLs and stuff, you could hire a nutritionist and a personal trainer.
The most attractive thing anyone can do is be in good shape.
Yeah.
It costs a fraction of all of those beautification treatments that you just
and to be honest, mate,
and you'll get better results.
I do not like it. I don't like lip filler. I think, like, you know, if it's not too noticeable, then and it makes you feel a little bit better, okay, I can sort of get it a little bit. But you know, when girls are like this, and they're like, but they've got a fucking fat belly. It's like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
How are you trying to, like, what?
That's what I mean. Like, the priorities are wrong.
What are you doing here? Like,
the priorities are wrong.
Go on a run, buy some eggs.
Eat some liver.
Eat some liver.
But it's the male equivalent is...
It's the priorities are all over the place. They'd rather spend the money on a sunbed and a vape than they would on a banana and a gym membership. Like, I could go all day. Like, and I'm not coming after fat people or anything like that, or out of shape people. But don't complain if you're not willing to put in the work. Yeah. Well, it's people like who are in the gym that are overweight, that are working, like, fair play.
Yeah, more power to them.
See it. Love to see it. People who want to come and do martial arts to lose weight and this and that, yeah, great. But don't, like, kid yourself, you know what I mean? Don't say you want to do one thing, but your actions aren't matching that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the male equivalent of lip fillers as well. It's not just, you know, men do it as much as women, because the male equivalent are these guys that go to the gym and lift weights a little bit 2 days a week and are slamming gear they're preparing for ADCC.
Got their teeth done.
Got the teeth done.
Got the hair plugs. Gone to sunbeds. Covered in tattoos. Doing whatever. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure actually I've heard that some guys are getting lip fillers now, which is just...
on the bags on the weekends.
Yeah.
Just living for the weekend. And that's just not for me. That's not for me. But I do want to just give... I don't know what else you want to talk about.
I've got one more question.
We'll go that, and then I want to give Matty a bit just to go through last night. Briefly go through last night.
It's 10 to 12, by the way.
Okay.
So yeah. But to finish... Oh, sorry, I've got two questions.
Okay.
You've kind of already given an answer to this question, what we've just been talking about. So give me... You can't give a one-word answer. Give me a 60-second answer. What message do you have to people lacking the confidence to get into training or getting into competition?
Okay, well, I don't think there's any other answer than to just, you just got to go and do it. Like, however, like, daunting it may feel that first time, once you get over that, then you'll be all right. Like, just get in there. Get your first class done. It'll be daunting, or you'll be a bit nerve-wracking. Hopefully you come across some nice people that will, you know, like, if you're a fresh guy in the gym, like, I'm not going to grief you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be very warm and welcoming.
You won't remember their name, but...
No, I won't remember their name, but I'll be nice. But if you've been coming a few months, I'll piece of shit you on every occasion I get.
And that's a sign of love.
And it's character building. It's character building.
If you get ripped by Riley Daniels, you know you're on the right path.
Yeah, man. And yeah, you just got to do it. Like, maybe go with a friend. Like, someone, so you're in it together, you know what I mean? You're not on your own. Like, convince your friends to come in. But even if they go after the first week, at least you're there the first time together, maybe. You know, yeah, just got to do it. Like, confidence is something that you're like, it comes with time, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't always a confident, charismatic person. I was very nervous, shy. I got, you know, I like to be the clown a little bit, but like, no, this has definitely given me like a lot of confidence and charisma. And I think this is another thing, like, I had shit posture, like really shit posture. And as much as I think it was a physical thing, I think it was a mental thing as well.
Yeah.
I think when my confidence grew, my posture grew as well. Like I wasn't so...
The vanilla gorilla came out.
Yeah, I wasn't so scared and nervous all the time. And I think that definitely like helped me physically, as well as like definitely stretching and foam rolling and getting stronger, bigger, stronger chest and backs just made me like definitely help my posture. But I think confidence is a big one. Confidence is a big one. You show your chest, show you're not scared, you know, you just show
you're proud of yourself. Yeah,
definitely. I think that was definitely a bit of a mental switch for me as I got more confident that, yeah, I'm more confident. I walk into a room, or I was the kind of kid who would cross the street when I seen a group of people, or I'd go a longer way, or
yeah,
I wouldn't feel comfortable at night and stuff like that. I was running down trails at like 7, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, pitch black dark the other day. I was hoping someone was going to jump out on me so I could have a scrap. Like, I was thinking if some idiot tried to mug me now, I'd absolutely murder them. And like when I was walking past groups as kids, if they say something, I'd be shitting myself. I'd never say anything back, you know. Now it's be like, come on then. You know what I mean? Like,
say something.
Rightly or wrongly, it's given me more confidence. Not that I'm saying I'm not walking around looking for a fight all the time.
It's a good thing, because you're not going to go around and start a fight.
No,
you know
never.
I mean?
I will do everything to avoid a fight. Like, I'm not
toxic.
saying I'm like that at all. I'll do anything to avoid a fight. Like,
but kids, if Riley Daniels runs past you on the trails, watch out.
Yeah, because I'll just be coming swinging overhands, just Rocky Balboa.
Final question, and the last 5 minutes belong to Matthias Locke.
Was that what? I thought you had 2 questions.
Yeah. So she had last question.
Oh, last question. Sorry.
The last 5 minutes belong to Matthias Locke. This is a short and sweet one. Fight prediction.
Fight prediction. I think I finish.
What round?
First, second round, or
KO or sub.
I think either. On the cards. I'm not going to rush or chase anything. I'm just going to go and do me. And I think I'm capable of putting him out or submitting him, whichever comes first. I'm not going to chase it. And if I have to play the game into a decision, I'll do that. If it happens to be a boring fight, it's a boring fight. But I'm pretty confident I'm going to finish him. I am pretty confident I'm going to finish him. Yeah, I'm always confident. I always go for the finish. I never think I'm going to go for the decision. Like, I don't ever think that.
All your fights that you've won,
won by finish, yeah. And I think I'm going to finish this guy. I always think that, so it's pretty much the same answer every time. Like, I want to be in there the least time possible. I want to go in there, get him out of there, eat some pizza. Like,
that's the thing.
I want to get in there, throw some good shit, not get hit, and get out of there. Nate Diaz style, you know. So yeah, that's the prediction. Like, violence.
Matthias Locke,
yeah. So started the day a little bit anxious. So he had a bit of a short notice opponent change. He'd done like an ultra white collar. I don't think he'd been training too long, but mate, he swung for 3. I don't know if they're 3-2s or 3-3s like normal amateur, but he swung for 3 minutes and did not get tired. I was just like, one thing, I don't think he's too good on the ground. He looks strong, good cardio, and he's absolutely capable of hitting you. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But I think you beat this guy everywhere. I really do. And he was like, okay, yeah. And he's like, I've got a list of things I want. I was talking about this last night afterwards. He was like saying to me before, like, yeah, I got a list of things that I want to hit this. I was like, okay, so just chase. Don't chase anything. It'll all come. You know what I mean? Don't just stay long with your jab.
Judo Jimmy.
Yeah, you know, just see what's cooking. You know, you don't force anything. Like, I kept repeating that. Like, don't chase. It will come. Like, and I was like, you know, calf kick's probably there all day. He's heavy swinger. You'll be able to calf kick him. Your movement will be a bit too much. everything comes from a jab. Jimmy rhetoric, all Jimmy rhetoric, you know, and Dean, stuff I've heard from other experienced people. And you know, he was a bit of nervous energy in the back, but he seemed confident. He warmed up well. And the warm-up, like, I was trying to get him wrapped up because I was working out the times. I was like, I want a good hour to warm up on and off, like we do it. That's how I do it. Good stretch out, bit of a shake out, and then good 45 minutes to an hour. We didn't get our wind out, but it ended up, he got wrapped up about 35 minutes before he was due to walk. And I wouldn't like that. That would be a bit like, feel a bit rushed, you know what I mean? And it didn't fluster him. We had to cut the warm up a bit short. But, you know, we did a bit of wrestling, a bit of pummeling, got him warm. He did some stretching, hit a few things he wanted to hit in the fight. We did a few finishes, you know, and he was feeling fucking strong, feeling good, feeling sharp. He was throwing fucking bombs in the back. I was like, man, you hit him with this, you're going to hurt him. Like, you are going to hurt him, but don't rush. If you hurt him, don't chase. Have a dance. Like, don't rush it. Don't blow yourself trying to finish him. Like, don't chase. And then he went in there, and, you know, it's quite a fast-paced fight. They went straight to it, trying to take lumps out of each other. Matt landed some fucking beautiful. I think he was either switching. I think he was going from southpaw, because I'm sure it was a left leg kick, left leg head kick. Caught him clean, knocked him out of his stance, and then he smashed him with a right hand. This guy was rocked. Matt tried to get him out of there. He recovered, and like Matt was like, "Fuck, he's still there." Double legged him. He fucking roided it to his feet, and I was like, "Fucking hell." Matt took him down again. Finished around in mount. I came into the cage, which I knew what I was going to say to him. I was like, stay off it, because I could see he had a bit of a dump in the first round, it might have not been too obvious watching it on the camera, but he was staying in the pocket and on the fence a little bit too long, throwing head kicks and stuff and leg kicks against the fence, a bit on the back foot. I was like, stop throwing kicks on the back foot, get the fuck off the fence, yeah? You know, I was like, other than that, time the level change, I think you finish him, yeah? That was it. That was basically what I said, you know, like, stay long, don't rush anything, put him down, finish him. Finished him mount in the end of the round. And he came in and he was just a bit like that as I came in the corner. And I was just like, breathe, water. You know, I've been in there a few times, I know what it's like, you know what I mean? So we won't even get time to touch on Dublin or a bunch of shit. But anyway, yeah, he went in there and definitely had a bit of a dump. This guy I found out was a rower as well. This like a whitewater rower or something. Okay. So he's fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, strong,
good core strength. Yeah. Like Matt was saying before, like, if you're not good at that shit, you will die. Like, you will drown. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be fit to do that. So I think that's where he got his cardio from.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem to get tired. And Matt cracked him a few more times. I think he got clipped a little bit, and he kept his composure, took him down. He popped back up. He like, it took him down and like recounted him as he got up, ended him mount, and then just, it must have been a minute and a half. He was just punching this guy from mount, man. But they were quite laboursome punches, and it was enough that the guy couldn't escape and he couldn't do anything, but it wasn't enough that he was like putting him out. And Matt was just pounding away, like looking at the ref, like pounding away. This guy went for a head and arm, and he just roided his elbow back. He kept trying to sit up. I was like ironing him back down and smashing his head in. And then the corner threw in the towel. Paul Daly was in the corner opposite, which was a bit of a mad experience, cornering in an opposite corner. Paul Daly, he came up to me and just said hello beforehand. And mad one. But yeah, he smashed it and loved it. And he was just a bit like, that's crazy. After he was so reminiscent of my debut. He was like, this is mad. This is crazy. Yeah. And the boy did good. Really proud of him. He put a lot of work. He put a lot of work in for that, and
long time coming.
Long time coming.
Proud of you, brother.
And it paid off, and he fucking smashed it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it back. Yeah, it was a great night.
And your turn. My turn. Less than 2 weeks.
I always love. It seems to always fall like that. Going to a show or a grappling competition or something before a fight, it always gives you that little feel for it, and taking the energy a little bit, you know, yeah. But yeah, Yeah, God, we could talk for another couple of hours. There's so much.
Oh, we could,
so
man.
much.
We
Yeah.
could.
A shout out to Joe Taylor and Jimmy Wall. Not really had Paul Wachowski, Shane Curtis. Not really talked about any of them people too much. Bit of Shane touched on them a little bit.
It's a good reason to have you back on again very soon.
Yeah, another
maybe to break down the fight.
Maybe after the fight, yeah, because we definitely can go into the relationship I've got with Joe Taylor, who's like been an integral part of my MMA for the past few years. So maybe touch on that and a bit of that maybe next time. And
we're definitely going to do a fight recap. So
100%.
So yeah. See you again in a few weeks.
Yeah, man. I know I'm going to walk out of here and be like, oh, we said this, we said that.
Oh, no, mate. Brilliant.
Yeah.
This is brilliant.
It's been a good chat. I don't think I've ever talked for so long.